Little Porter's Pride and Dignity, Stop the New World Order. Welcome to HPANWO TV. I'm here driving in a car with Tachinder Gill, and I think you know Taj. You've been in quite a few videos of mine now, so welcome back. Good to see you. And we are going to the Awakening UFO and Conscious Life Expo in Manchester. So that should be quite fun. I'm just heading up here on the motorway. I'm going to obviously do my usual reportage, which will be fun. Although I've had but just before I left, it's really weird, right? Just before I left, something happened. So if I come across as slightly subdued, I'll try to avoid that. But if I come across as slightly subdued, it's because literally just before I was about to shut my computer down, about half an hour before I left, a pop-up comes up. We've removed some of your content from YouTube. And it's the Dr. Alice Howarth Cancer Cures video that I made about 6 years ago, and it's been removed under the category of medical misinformation. I've had a yellow community guideline strike, and this was literally just after the last one expired. And I do wonder if that's a coincidence. I honestly wonder if that is a coincidence. Anyway, and also just before I go away, that happened last time. The last one was just before I went to the basis conference, and I came back and I appealed it when I got back, and they said I couldn't upload for a week, but they timed it for when I put in my appeal, not when the strike was put on my video. And this happened again. I mean, I appealed it immediately. Luckily, I caught it just when it was happening, so I appealed it immediately. But you know, my hopes aren't high, because it did say we do not allow medical misinformation that contradicts World Health Organization consensus. Well, I'm afraid I'm probably guilty as charged, and I'm glad. Anyway, I did put in an appeal. I said, you know, I said that this is my opinion about someone's talk. It's not intended to be medical advice. I just said, kindly restore my video, and that's all I can do, really. So we'll just have to wait and see. But anyway, I can't upload for a week, so I won't be able to upload this video for at least for a week. Well, I will upload it to Alt-Tech. I'll put it on BitChute, Odyssey, and Rumble, of course. And I'll also make a video about this particular incident, because I refuse to normalise this. I really do. I'm not the only one who's suffered in this way. I've just been talking to someone whose own channel had a strike, like for a very, very similar thing, medical misinformation. I mean, it's like if the World Health Organization consensus is right, it doesn't need to be enforced with censorship. I know I make this point over and over again. If you're in the right, you don't need to silence opposition. You only need to silence your opposition if you are in the wrong, and you know you're in the wrong, but you don't care, and you want to preserve and enforce your will. You need to silence opposition because you know your opposition is right. Anyway, I'm not going to let this get me down. This is basically the same event Taj and I went to in Blackpool last year. It's gone back to Manchester now, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it very, very much. So I'll tell you more about it later when we arrive at our destination. I'll explain a little bit more about the event we're going to go and see. So this is the event I'm going to go to see, Awakening Expo 2023. Craig Charles, of course, well known for Red Dwarf, but also the Mulder and Scully type UFO investigation program he's doing with Dr. Sarah Cruddas, if you remember my article and videos about that. And here we go. Here's the list of speakers. Oh, that's last year's. You see, this is this year's. Here we have here. There's Jimmy Church there. We've got James Fox. We've got Craig Charles. Like I said, Billy Carson and Nick Pope. Praise be upon him. And there's a UFO behind them there. And this is, you get the platinum tickets. You get to go on the Friday night, which I'm not going to do. I'm actually going just for the Saturday and Sunday. But you get a bit of extra for that. And there we go. And there's Courtney. Which one's this one? Courtney somebody. Courtney Kane, and she's one of the speakers. And here's UFO 2023, Expo 2023. There's some more. There's a list of others. See, there's Craig Charles. There's Johnny Enoch as well. That's Melissa Tittle. Yeah, you see, there's different hangars. Looks good, doesn't it? I mean, I'm really looking forward to this. There's Maria Wheatley. You see there, Steve Mera, and a couple of other people I don't recognise. I've not seen before. So yeah, that's where Taj and I are going, so if you care to accompany me, let us proceed. Hey guys, the traffic, as you can see, is not very good at the moment, and Taj and I have left the motorway. We're trying to find an alternative route. Now, we're going to take a little detour on our journey up to Manchester. It won't take long, but I do want to stop at a place called Keel Services. Now, this is actually a service station, as its name suggests. That's a place called Keel, which is just outside Stoke-on-Trent. And it's the reason I want to stop there. It's part of the welcome break on the M6 network, a place where drivers can take some time off to eat and drink and go to the toilet and things like that. It's got all those amenities there. I've shown you them many times before. Taj and I have stopped at them many times before. This is a special type of service station too, and it's a special kind of visit too, because I want to have a look at, just have a very quick look around. It won't take very long, but I want to have a quick look around just to see if there's any indication of something strange going on there that might explain a very bizarre event that happened in 2008. Now, I think many people in the conspiracy sphere are already familiar with this. Indeed, I was going to do this on my Isle of Man trip, but I couldn't do it. I was going to take time out to do this on the Isle of Man trip. There are two twins from Sweden called Sabina and Ursula Eriksson, and they both ended up in a very strange situation at Keel Services. What happened was, they come from Sweden, born in 1967. Ursula had moved to the United States, whereas Sabina had got married and was to an Irishman. I was living in Ireland at a place called Mallow, County Cork. Now, what happened was, for some reason nobody knows, Sabina paid a visit to Ursula, her twin sister, and the two of them left the house together after having Sabina had her argument with her husband. However, it can't have been that serious, because she left the children behind at home. She didn't take them with her, which she would do if she thought they were in danger, for example. The two of them got on a ferry boat and headed across to Liverpool in England. They travelled from Dublin overnight, arrived in the morning. Then they went to the police station in Liverpool and reported that they were concerned for the safety of the children. But like I said, two strange things with that. Firstly, Sabina didn't take the children away from the home. Secondly, why didn't they just go to the local station in Ireland and report them to the Gardaí? Why go all the way to Liverpool in England and report them to the Liverpool police? Anyway, the Liverpool police contacted the Gardaí and they sort of investigated it, and they found out about the row that Sabina had with her husband. What happened then was that the twins boarded a National Express coach heading for London. This stopped at Keel Services, which is where we're going to go. And what I want to do is I want to have a look around there to see if there's anything strange, because what happened next is bizarre, and you may have seen Madness in the Fast Lane, the documentary about it. This was actually made in conjunction with another documentary called Motorway Cops. The BBC were actually filming a documentary about, as the title suggests, the police who patrol the motorways in Britain, and they happened to be filming with this when this took place. Sabina and Ursula disembarked from the coach. The coach stopped at Keel Services, and people have said this is a strange place for a coach to stop. Well, sometimes coaches do stop at service stations to change drivers and things like that, or to give the passengers a designated break. They said they felt unwell and they were behaving very erratically, so the coach driver decided not to let them reboard. Also, he contacted the service station manager, who called the police. The police didn't think there was anything wrong with them, but the sisters were stranded at the service station. They decided to try and walk down the motorway, which of course is very dangerous and illegal, but they walked out of the service station onto the motorway and started literally walking. They crossed over the motorway. They were on the southbound carriageway. They crossed over to the northbound carriageway and started walking along the hard shoulder. They crossed over to They crossed from the central reservation. Sabina was hit by a car, although she doesn't appear to be injured. When the police arrived, they detained the two women, and Ursula suddenly broke free and ran into the traffic. She was then mowed down by an articulated lorry, and the police, you can hear them shouting possible fatality, and as it happens, she ended up with badly crushed legs. Sabina ran into the road after her and was hit by another car. Sabina was knocked unconscious for 15 minutes. Ursula was completely immobilised by her terrible injury. Paramedics arrived and treated them. Amazingly, Ursula sat up with crushed legs. And you know, as somebody, as a hospital porter who's seen people with these terrible injuries, that's unknown, that's unprecedented. The police were beginning to suspect that they were on some kind of drug. They both the sisters, because then Sabina gets up and starts fighting. She actually punches a policewoman in the face and runs away. And is eventually detained by emergency workers and members of the public, and she's sedated and handcuffed. Ursula said to one of the officers, I know you, you're not real. Now that was odd, because Taj and I both thought of this at the same time. Do you remember the crazy plane lady from last week? I wrote about this on her HPANWO voice. You know, who was on the plane and demanded to get off. She said the same thing. She pointed at her fellow passengers. She said, I know you, you're not real. And then Sabina said something else very strange. They're going to take your organs. Now, she said this in English. She wasn't addressing her sister, because if either sister had been addressing each other, they'd have spoken in their own language, Swedish. They were speaking in English, which means they were addressing the people around them. Ursula they were both taken to hospital, but Sabina was not injured. Amazingly, after being hit by 2 cars. You can actually see the damage done to one of the cars. There's a massive dent on the roof and windscreen, which indicates she was hit very hard at motorway speeds. She should have broken something, but she seemed to have the strength of 10. Ursula as well seemed to be very, in fact she was sitting up when she had crushed legs. It was unbelievable. Now, Ursula was treated in hospital and released in September for her injuries. She spent several months in hospital, as you'd expect, because she needed to have all her bones repaired, basically. Sabina was released the next day, wandered around Stoke-on-Trent, and eventually she got talking to 2 local men, Glenn Hollinshead and Peter Malloy. They were walking their dogs. As she stroked the dogs, she talked to them. She was looking for her sisters at the hospital and also looking for somewhere to stay for the night. What happened was Hollinshead took pity on her and said, you can come and stay at my house, which is probably not a good idea for either of them, seeing as they were strangers. It's not a good idea for either Sabina or for Glenn to do this. And as it turned out, it turned out to be fatal. She was acting strange in the house. I mean, she kept looking out the window as if to say, oh, somebody's... And but Malloy thought she was fleeing from an abusive partner. She also offered them cigarettes, all the men, so the men took cigarettes, but then she snatched them out of their mouths and said they could be poisoned. Okay, we're getting close to our destination, so we're back on the motorway now, as you can see. And then Malloy seemed... I think Malloy seemed to be suspicious of her from the start, whereas Glenn was still very accommodating. He seemed didn't seem to be concerned with her. Malloy left, and basically they spent the night. Glenn and Sabina were in the house alone and spent the night there. I know some people claim that she seduced him or he seduced her, but the pathology report showed there was no sign that he'd had sex or anything like that. So there doesn't seem to be anything dodgy going on in that respect. Then the following day, when Glenn was cooking them dinner, he went out and talked to his neighbours. Can I borrow some tea bags? He said yes, okay. So he borrowed some tea bags. Went back inside. A minute later, he came out covered with blood, and he went up to his neighbour and said, "She stabbed me," and then he collapsed and died. He died on the scene from his injuries. Sabina ran out of the house and she ran down the street, hitting herself over the head with a hammer. A member of the public tried to restrain her. She whacked him over the head with a roof tile, knocking him unconscious. Then she ran onto a place called Heron's Cross, which is like a roundabout overpass over the A50 dual carriageway. By this time, paramedics had arrived and they were chasing her. She climbed over the bridge parapet and tried to jump onto the A50. Problem is, it's a 40-foot drop. She broke both her ankles and fractured her skull, and that's the only major injury she sustained in the entire affair. Glenn Hollinshead, of course, was killed. Sabina was treated in hospital and then arrested and charged with murder. she was sentenced to 5 years with diminished responsibility because they said that she was suffering from this folie à deux, madness shared by two, which is the title of David Cahn's book on the subject, which you may have heard. David Cahn was interviewed on Rich Planet TV. Now, there's some weird things. For example, the court had a lot of trouble getting hold of her medical records, which, despite Sweden's privacy laws, shouldn't have been a problem for a murder trial. She'd already been held in custody before the trial for a long time. So, all in all, she only actually spent about 2 years in jail. Then she was released and returned to her family in Ireland. However, at the same time, and then Ursula, of course, went back to Sweden and eventually returned to the United States. Since then, both women have disappeared, as have their family. Journalists have been unable to trace them. I don't know exactly what to make of this, but we're gonna we may find out some clues at Keel Services. I'm not sure, but Taj, what do you reckon? Any ideas?
I'm not sure because that wasn't really their destination. I mean, they signed off in Liverpool. It wasn't their decision to stop there. It was the bus drivers for whatever reason.
They were heading for London, yeah. They basically turfed off the coach halfway along the motorway, yeah.
But I don't know what they expected to accomplish by walking down the motorway, considering it's probably like 200, 300 miles to London. So
yeah. So they were acting. Firstly, their actions were not. But both sisters were erratic, illogical, and it did show they were suffering from some kind of delusion. Yeah. Some people claimed they were drug mules because they seemed to be very possessive of their belongings. One of the reasons the bus driver wouldn't let them on the coach was because they kept clutching their bags to their chests and looking very nervous as if they had something in their bags they didn't want anyone to see. And as the driver, he decided he would search the bags, and they refused to let him. If they were drug mules, and clearly it's possible. What's also possible is that why do they? Again, drug mules generally don't draw attention to themselves like this. Drug mules generally are quite unobtrusive travellers. They wear normal clothes. They behave like normal travellers. I mean, if you're carrying like 50 kilos of heroin on you, you don't want to start acting in weird ways that causes people to look at you more closely. You want to be just a normal tourist, traveller, travelling businessman. They go undercover as tourists and businessmen. So I don't think they were drug mules. As if there was any drugs involved, it was something they'd taken because of their behaviour and because, let's face it, the survivability they seem to have taken something which made them behave as if they weren't injured when they were injured. And in terms of Sabina, giving her incredible strength and resilience. I mean, there are drugs. I mean, indeed, if you remember Project for the New American Century, they were talking about drugs which they were going to give soldiers to reduce pain, increase stamina, dispense with the need for sleep, for a reduction of sleep and things like that. I don't know, what do you reckon, Taj? Any ideas?
I mean, I guess they could have been on some kind of stimulants or amphetamines or something like that.
Yeah. I was thinking amphetamine. I was thinking maybe some kind of thing like that. But I mean, I don't know if they had a toxicology report. I mean, normally when they're arrested and put in hospital, they will always take blood. When you're put in a hospital like this, they take blood and they do a toxicology report on it. As far as I could see, nothing came up in terms of that sense. Or if something came up, it was classified and not released. And maybe the hospital kept it to themselves and reported it to the authorities, like they did with Tina Bird, if you remember the Awaken Aware reportage. So it's strange that their behaviour, their language, the things they said, like I know you're not real. Again, this is what the crazy plane lady said. I've done an article about that on her HPANWO voice. And they're going to steal your organs. And she was obviously not addressing her sister. She was addressing people all around her. She's speaking in English. Very odd. But, excuse me. It could be there was some kind of super soldier. Now, as you know, there's a lot of people who claim to be super soldiers, and most of those I don't believe. However, there are, I think, the idea of super soldiers is a valid one. I believe such things do exist. Indeed, as I said, a project for the New American Century more than 20 years ago was suggesting that very thing. That super soldier being a human who is altered genetically or physically in some way to make them better fighters, give them more stamina, more strength, more survivability, things like that. That is a distinct possibility. And the fact that the two women have vanished, they've just gone, they've disappeared off the face of the earth, as far as we know. I mean, no journalist can track them down, even though they knew exactly where they lived. They lived in Marlow, which is a small place in County Cork, Ireland, and, well, Ursula's address could have been located in the United States, but, well, it's very strange. But we may never know the truth about what's happened. But we're going to go to Keel services. I'll cross over to the southbound side as well, because that's where they were. They were at the southbound area, and we'll see if there's anything there that could give us a clue about what happened and maybe find a solution to this mystery. Okay, guys, we're just a few miles from Keel services now. The traffic's been quite heavy, so it's taken us a while to get here. But when we arrive, I'll just film as we go in, because you'll see the bit where Sabina and Ursula actually were. I don't know the exact spot, but they didn't get very far when they were heading. They headed south on the M6 on basically the northbound carriageway, which is where we are. And some on the hard shoulder over here is where the incident took place. They were walking down the central reservation, you see here, but it's still a few miles to go, as you can see now. Keel says that little blotch there, so maybe 2 miles and we'll be there. Now, if you watch the videos of the CCTV captures for the documentaries, you may recognise this row of street lamps, this hard shoulder. I think we're near the spot now. I mean, it may not be quite this far, because we're still about 2 miles, a mile and a half, say, from. We're still quite a few hundred yards from the services. We don't know exactly how far they got before the police apprehended them. But it may be this bit up here, because I remember there's a lot of trees on either side of the road. So we may be getting very close now to the spot where it was. As you see, there's lots of the traffic it's been like this. It's been crawling along, and it suddenly starts up again, and it goes slow again. It starts up again. Oh, it turns out we're going to arrive in Manchester much later than we expected, but you know we're not going to tonight's event, so it doesn't matter too much. I have a feeling it's here. It just starting to look like it with the trees. We know they were on this side of the road, because they crossed over. They were on the southbound side of the thing. Now it's amazing they crossed over the motorway. They could easily have just crossed over the bridge at the service station if they wanted to go on the northbound carriageway, but they didn't. Yeah, I think it's here. I think it's somewhere around here. This looks familiar. Maybe if you watch the documentaries, you can point out the exact spot. If you watch this video as well. There we are, Keel services. Welcome break, including broken legs. Yeah. So we're going to just see. I don't know what I'm going to find here. It's my guess, Chad, it's going to be a completely normal service station, and there's going to be nothing really weird to see.
It's been 15 years. So.
Yeah. But there may be some clue. I mean, maybe we were speculating there may be a doorway, strange doorways or side roads that aren't marked. I mean, there is this thing called, here we are, we're there now. There is this thing called 3 Mile Lane, which is that bridge across there. And there was a slip road onto the.
In a quarter of a mile, your destination will be on the right.
There is an access on both sides. You can see the bridge. That's the bridge across on the services. It could be something. I mean, do you remember the Cardiff one? I stayed up north of Cardiff, had no road access at all. So here we are. It's actually the other side, the southbound side. We've got to go, but that should be easy enough to cross the bridge. Oh, shit! Oh, bloody hell! Oh, I thought he was putting his finger up. There, he's waving. Oh, I thought he was putting his finger up at us. Anyway, there we are. This is Keel services, guys. Don't know if you want to come with. Okay, guys, here's Keel services. I'm here with Taj. What we're going to do is we're going to cross over that bridge, which leads across from the one side to the other, and then we're going to, because it's the southbound side, it'll probably be most interesting. So I'm just going to let you know what we find. Any strange things, men in black, anything else weird like that. You never know. This is a KFC. It's also a bridge, so you're on the bridge across here. So you can actually see the slip road they would have walked down. So they would have walked, because there's no pedestrian, there's no official pedestrian access at all, past that petrol station and onto the southbound carriageway before crossing over onto the northbound. They would just walked along here and just quietly down the slip road. This is the southbound area. Now the coach would have pulled up over here because there's no official coach stops here. This is not a place where passengers embark and disembark. This is just a place where they change drivers and things like that. So the coach would have pulled up over here in the lorry area. I know, because I've been on National Express myself many times. The passengers may have been allowed to just get out and have a cigarette, wander around this area here. But this is not actually a term. It's not a stop. It's not an official stop for National Express. So the two ladies would have walked along here. Everything looks normal. I mean, to be honest, Taj, I wouldn't even know there's anything special about this particular service station if I didn't know its rather unusual history. What do you reckon? Does it look any remarkable in any way to you?
Not really.
No.
There aren't that many service stations that expand both sides of the motorway. Usually on British motorways, or services are on one side. Southbound might be like a mile down further, but you can't connect one. You can't get from one to the other without going all the way around.
Yeah, having the bridge across is unusual. It's the unusual architecture. So, yeah. So they've walked along here, and then. Well, we're not going to do it because you're not allowed to. We get arrested ourselves if we did it. But
yeah, you have to walk where that white van's going.
Yeah, walked along that slip road, past that petrol station, out onto the motorway. That's just a Starbucks coffee stop. Just some trees and bushes. I don't know about you, but there's an access. There's a what's the word? A slip road over there that leads to something called 3 Mile Lane. It's on both sides. There's a slip road on both the north and southbound. But basically, I don't see anything really particularly unusual. What do you reckon? There's a tank there. I think that white caps, that white Tic Tac shaped thing. I think it's just a petrol tank, probably. Yeah, that's it. So, what do you? Any conclusions, Taj?
Looks like any other service station to me.
Yeah, me too. So, will you have one last look round and judge for yourself? But I'm afraid there's nothing here. And to be honest, it was a long shot. There's nothing here that indicates there's anything unusual about this service station. It could be that the actual service station is not related in any way to the condition the two women were in, and there may be nothing here at all which had any influence on what they did. The cause might be something completely different, and this just happened to be the theatre of location. So anyway, there's a mobile phone mast, but of course those are everywhere, aren't they? Okay guys, so we're now going to return to the car and continue our journey to Manchester. I suppose the big question is, does the Ericsson service station have you know what? No nexus. We're going to take a look at Keel services from the road now. This is southbound, and this is basically where the coach would have come. It would have, when the coach arrived, it took the slip road here into the Keel services area. There you see is the bridge with the KFC and everything on it. That's where we were over there, and then Twins eventually came down this slip road here. As you can see here, they walked along here, this particular stretch of road here. And at some point, they'd be walking along the verge. At some point, they crossed over to the central reservation and eventually onto the far side of the motorway. I don't know exactly how far they got. I don't know the exact spot where this incident happened, but this is roughly where it all was. Okay, we're leaving Keel services now, and we're just rejoining the M6. We're now heading northbound towards Manchester. don't know about you, Taj, but that was just, to me, that was just another service station.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's you know, I mean, I suppose I was expecting. No, we're not expecting. I was hoping we'd have like some major clues that could help us solve the mystery. Something like, you know, gargoyles or strange artworks. You know, Denver Airport style. You know, I thought it would be something like that that would give us some clues to what happened to those two young ladies. Well, young, and they were 40, but you know, quite young. And to be honest, I'm at a bit of a loss. I can't see anything strange going on there, which, as I said earlier, is probably nothing to do with that particular service station. But I did think it was worth us checking it out. I thought it was worth us just popping in there, having a look, just scouting around, just checking out the energy, checking out sights and sounds. You know, no strange subliminal messages, no weird headaches from radiation beams, no men in black or strange women with extra lipstick and stuff like that. No strange guy smoking a cigarette and a Mulder and Scully coming out of the ladies and gents. Nothing like that at all, no. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're in Manchester now. Taj has got us here after a very long 6-hour journey, including stops for researching Swedish twins and things like that, and traffic jams, and we're here now, which is Stratford in Manchester, and I'm heading into the city where I'm actually going to be staying with a friend of mine, someone I know. I don't know if they want to be identified right now, but if they do, I will identify them. But they very nicely offered me a place to stay, and they're going to the conference too, so that'll be nice. So here we go. I'm heading into Manchester. Hello everyone, I'm in Manchester, and I'm staying with my friend Sandra. This is Sandra. Yay! And you may not recognise her voice, because what's your show called?
The Unedited Audio Experience.
Yeah, this is Sandra of the Unedited Audio Experience. I know you do cover these kinds of subjects, don't you? Because I've been on your show, and Miles and a few other people, so it's really great to be with you here in Manchester. And we're going to go to the conference tomorrow, so I'm really looking forward to that. Well, good morning everyone. It is Saturday morning, it's about 7:45, and Sandra and I are awake, and we're all getting ready to go to the first day of this particular conference. So Taj is coming over to give us a lift there. It's actually not very far, but by Manchester standards, but we are going to get a lift. Yeah, looking forward very much to seeing this and seeing what it's like. It's not been at this venue for a while, so I've got the gold ticket, which means I can, apparently, like, you can go into Hangar 1. There is like a general admission ticket, which you can only get to Hangar 2 and 3. But I have the gold ticket, which means I can go to Hangar 1. I've got, the first speaker is actually Nick Pope, so I will go and see that. I'm curious to, obviously you know what I think of that guy, but I will go and listen to what he has to say on Nick Pope. Praise be upon him. And hopefully meet the others as well. They were all out last night. I stayed here with Sandra. The thing about Manchester is, like, everything's so far away from everything else. But I was also a bit tired. But maybe tonight, I'll probably go to the pub tonight. For any Man U fans, there it is, Manchester United. That's Old Trafford there, which you just saw. Look at the fan. There's the fan sales. There is apparently there's a big match today. I don't follow football closely, as you know, but I do enjoy it, and I'm sure that you can. I have been to see a match at Old Trafford. When I went to Manchester years ago, we went especially to see United play. It was quite something. And I know that the exhibition centre is close to the football ground. I know, so we can't be far now. We're approaching the venue now. It's called the Bowlers Exhibition Centre. Now you may remember this because a few years ago I came in with Tino, if you remember. Was it just Tino or Tino and Larry? I can't remember. Because I travel a lot with Tino and Larry. This is it's like a standard kind of like, that's just like an industrial estate, isn't it? That's what it looks like to me. Here is the BEC Bowlers Exhibition Centre. Now we've got to find the entrance. It's all in there, guys. I hope the Star Wars thing's still there. Do you remember the Star Wars cantina? I see anyone we know? Do you see anyone we know? They're all queuing up now to go in.
Is on the left.
Oh yeah. And here we are. I think that guy's a steward. Is he? Is he a car parking attendant? I don't know. But I think he maybe directed people to car parking places, because you see, there's a lot of people. You see, most people are already here. So anyway, we'll soon see people we know, I'm sure. There it is. We just go in there. That's, I think, where you queue up and get your ticket stamped. And as you can see, they're expecting long queues, and they've got everyone like behind these barriers. So there. Oh, we have a little alien, the Roswell alien from the Roswell movie. But this is the entrance hall. They don't have the astronaut. Oh, do you remember the astronaut from last time? And this is the... What do you reckon, Sandra?
It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
It's great, isn't it?
They'll be down as Samantha Shufflebottom.
Oh, Samantha, all right. That's your name now, is it?
They call me anything.
Well, and this, oh my goodness. This, I have to watch these steps because I could easily get bowled away and just fall down the steps here. But here is the auditorium. They don't have the spaceship this year, but wow, there's a bar. Most important, there's the Awakening load thing over there. And oh, Lloyd Canning's here. I see him already, and oh my goodness me. You know, this is like one of these big American conferences, and the late great Gareth Davis, I said, he went to one in California, and he said, Ben, you should go to these. And I said, he said, would I enjoy it? And he said, you'd be like a pig in shit. And there is Tony and Kaz. This reminds me of Glastonbury, it's crystals. There's Lloyd Canning's art. Hello, hi Lloyd, how are you doing? How you doing, guys? Oh, you got your paintings out, that's nice. Nice to see you again.
It's always lovely to see
you too, mate, you too. Hello, how are you? Nice to see you. Oh, brilliant. I love these, it's great. This is amazing, isn't it? It's amazing. It's an incredible place.
Back in Manchester.
Yeah, the one in black, the one last year was good.
I loved it because it was smaller, it's a bit more intimate.
Yeah.
I found like we really got to gel with a lot of people because it's a smaller thing.
Yeah, so I know
I
what you mean.
personally want to be back here in Manchester.
But it is nice to be back in this place, yeah. Although I'll just have a look around, see what it's like. They haven't got the spaceship this year. But anyway, I'll see you later. Thanks, you too. There's some more artwork here. More aliens, you see. There's a TR3B with a grey. Do you see that? Yeah, there's some greys and a TR3B. There's the Wolfman. There's the Wolfman of Bempton and Hunmansby. That's mean, isn't it? I'm glad they got this thing back. War of the Worlds. Yeah. Oh, they got these again. These Egyptian things. Graham of East Anglia, he's going to complain. Why are Egyptian things associated with UFOs? It's just general woo-woo. And here's the celebrity tables here. Look at all these things here. This is where you can meet and greet the older celebrities. That's Hangar 2 in there, I think. And there's a mezzanine. I don't know what's up there. Anyone have a look round. I'm carrying up here. There's so much to see around here, I'll tell you. It's unbelievable. Over here, there's Area 51. There's aliens over here, look. And this is the inside of a spaceship there. I think that's a science fiction one. There's another grey. There you go, mate. Oh, here's the official banner for Awakening. More official stuff there. I'm just going to check the time because I don't want to miss. It's about still half an hour to go. Elemental balance, the biofield. There we go. Mediumship readings. Oh, wicked. Gateway to your higher self, spiritual events. The Emmett technique. Hello. Hello there. Oh, there's someone, they're doing something on a stall. Connective therapies. An Expo 3D experience. And here is another store here. Official merch. I don't want to get a program. Right. That's the phone. I'll buy myself a programme. I'll carry on in a minute. That's that picture there's Maria Wheatley, but here's the real thing. Hey Maria, how you doing?
Hi Ben, it's good to see you here at this Expo, Awakening, and I'm really looking forward to my talk and to listen to other people as well.
Me too. Let's have a look at you've got here, all these different books.
This is my new book, Ben. It's going to be out pretty soon, The Secret History of Stonehenge.
Oh, excellent.
Now, I've worked for and written for English Heritage for 10 years.
Oh, right.
And I've sold my things at the Stonehenge shop. I am now banned because of this book.
Oh, I see. Well, forbidden fruit.
Oh, yeah, the
That's
forbidden
it, yeah.
fruit.
The book, you could put like, it's a great tagline, and the book they tried to ban, you know.
Yes, exactly, and also Amazon are causing me issues at the moment as well.
Oh.
But I'm a strong-minded woman, and I won't let anyone get me
Good
down.
for you, yeah, good for you, yeah. At least your other, that's your defining book.
That's a bestseller
Essential
now.
Bouncing Guide.
Exactly. And here are my dancing rods.
Right, these, yeah, I made some on my own when I went in your course.
Show me my yes response.
Oh, yeah.
Show me my no response.
Yeah, that's definitely good, aren't they? It's
Show
like,
me the direction of Daryl Sims.
well, it works. It works. That's excellent. Yeah, it's something I know because I got better results as I carried on and kept using them. You know.
Exactly.
Anyway, yeah, it's great to see you again. I look forward to your talk tomorrow.
See you then, Ben.
Bye. I just bumped into somebody I haven't seen. Hey, Tina. Not Tina. I've seen Tina before. But it's Theo Chalmers. Hello, Theo. How you doing?
Hello. Yes, I'm still alive.
The face of Edge Media. Edge Media TV. If you've not seen it, there's still a few floating around on YouTube and other places. So and they're well worth watching, aren't they? I mean, that was great.
Well, I hope so. You know, we try to interview interesting people with interesting research and ideas, and people who can actually make a difference to the world and tell you things that the mainstream media is never going to tell you. So
I always get nostalgic when I think about Edge Media TV. And if you've been in this business like 20 years or more, so will you. But yeah. So what are you doing these days? Anything interesting?
Well, that's a difficult question to answer. No, but I'm still doing a lot of research and getting involved in places like this and things like this. But no, I'm not on TV anymore, unfortunately.
Well, that's right. This is good enough, isn't it? I mean, this is fantastic. This place. So
I love it. Yeah, it's great. So
it's great to see you again, mate.
Good to see you.
You take it easy.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, Dave. You know Dave. You've been on before, haven't you, Dave? But,
We're live now, are we?
You've got a brilliant T-shirt.
Yeah, this is a Beautiful Days Festival that had an alien theme last weekend. We went to that, so decided to get the T-shirt because it's got like UFOs and aliens.
Cool. Well, there's the Bufog banner there.
Absolutely.
And UFO Wave, of course, which you're familiar with. I've showed you this before. This is so I'll just show you a T-shirt. There we are. So I've got your T-shirt. There's the what's the name of the alien there? Bob. There's Bob the alien there. And yeah, brilliant. There's the playing mat and there's the cards. And yeah, so there's Bob there. Oh, cool. Yeah. It's well worth getting this game, actually. It's great fun. So yeah, good to see you again, mate. Good to see you.
Yeah, you too.
Good luck. I hope you always go home without these.
Cheers.
Cool. See ya. I'm overwhelmed with all the people I've seen, all the people, the old friends I've met, up with again. I didn't film Tina because she's using a wheelchair because she's got a bad leg. It's not permanent, I don't think. We're going to go to Hangar 1 now, and here we are. We are awaiting the moment where we can worship His Royal Popeness here in Hangar 1. This is Hangar 1, which is the biggest auditorium. You can see loads of people here. The black seats, I think we were here and they said I've got to go to the black seats. I suppose the red seats there are there for the platinum ticket holders or like guests and things like that. And I suppose yeah, they got the same Sonne Lumiere type things there, and there are what looks like Imperial Stormtroopers. Oh my god! So I've met so many. I haven't got a chance to show you everyone I've met so far, but I will hopefully get interviews with people later. But anyway, we're now. I think they're going to start in a minute. So there's Steve. Just seen Nick Pope. You can see there's a medium performing in Hangar 3. I'll say more about Pope later, although to be honest there's not a lot to say about his talk because he didn't say anything original. He said some things that like good, like he talked about David Grush and David Fravor and stuff like that, and he talked about disclosure and technology and the effect it could have. But I mean, some of it I'm sure it comes straight out of my book. I think he's probably read my book. But I said, it's all stuff. It's all things that other people have said that he's repeating. He's essentially like an AI bot. I don't believe it. Look who I just run into. I've run into Miles. How are you, sir? 2 miles. You've got brilliant.
Making sure you're still in one piece.
Yeah.
He's giving you a
I haven't worn this T-shirt in bloody 5 years.
And
what
he
the
has
hell
got.
do I
He
do
does
with
have
it?
the.
Drop a drip on the bloody.
Yeah. So I was just talking about old. Hello, mate. How you doing? It's Mark and Colin. How are you guys? You're right. Yeah, not bad. Thanks. Sorry I couldn't see you last night.
That's okay. My phone died anyway.
I was staying at Sandra's Shufflebottom's place with her and her family, and like, this place is so. All I have to do next year is maybe we'll stay in the same hotel or something, you know. But she's really nice. She's a nice lady. She's just beautiful. Yeah, she's here. I've just been watching old Nick Pope, and he said nothing. He said lots of like good things, you know, but it's all stuff that other people have said before. It's like he's like an AI bot.
He was on the panel last night.
An AI bot could do that, you know. He's just.
Well, that maybe he's not.
Get like a surface just shot on him. I just wanted to check out what kind of bullshit he was talking, to be honest. Anyway, yeah, we're going to watch Paul Sinclair and Hangar 2. He's over there. As you can see, there's his Royal Popeness. He's being mobbed by his groupies. Yeah, they're all. I think I'll go and watch Paul Sinclair. Paul Sinclair in this is Hangar 2 here. I was just in Paul Sinclair, and it was very interesting stuff. He talks a lot about what he writes about in the Night People book, about his own childhood experiences of abduction. It's not abduction so per se, because he actually wasn't taken to a craft, but he saw what you could describe as grey aliens around him. Lots of other strange things. As always, I'll say more later. But now we've got another break. Stormtroopers are here to take over the planet as more speakers are turned up. So I'm just going to go and have a look around these stalls, I think. Yeah, I mean, I know what you mean. I don't feel anxious a lot, but I'm kind of, I think I'm empathic. This is ironic fundamentalism by Kirsty Allen. This is Kirsty Allen there. Right, I'm this lady here, right. How wild are you? What's the YRD mean?
It's weird. It's weird. It actually relates to Sanctuary, when we're affiliated with both businesses. And they're based in Yorkshire, Broughton Hall, a big rambling old estate, and they're committed to a wellbeing sanctuary. And part of the thing is, in the 70s, there was a hairland over in the States who investigated Psi. And they did it by these great big machines that were running into number generators.
Yeah, Dean Radin, and he's the researcher who did it, yeah.
Well, he's one of the people who looked at it at the Fair Institute, wound up after 20 years in America, and bought the whole lab, lock, stock and barrel, all the machines, even the sofas and the soft toys and the artworks on the wall, and shipped everything over to Yorkshire, to Skipton.
Oh nice, so you carried it on?
So they're carrying it on, and they've just re-rented it, and they've installed it all now, and they're starting to look at it, doing tours and things like this, and they're also doing the actual research as well.
Oh, excellent.
And this is where Kirsty's involved. She's doing her own doctorate in psi phenomena, and it's through the use of flotation tanks.
I heard of those, yeah, that's right.
So
for meditation, things like that.
Salt water, basically, they're at blood temperature, they close everything up, so all you've got is your own brain.
So you have like a kind of sensory deprivation effect.
That's it, yeah.
I've heard of those, yeah.
So the isolation gives you the option actually to develop psi abilities, and this is what her doctorate is in. So it's actually measuring all that, and they've actually incorporated one at Broughton Hall. So she's going to sort of continue her research there as well. Everything all ties in. It's a nice little tangled framework.
Yeah, oh great. I mean, I'm not going to buy anything today, but I'll be back here tomorrow, you know, and I'll have a look around because there's so much here. It's hard to know where to start. You know what I mean?
Christy's speaking tonight.
Great.
I'm not sure if we're here tomorrow.
I'll be here tomorrow. Yeah.
There's a good.
I'm here all day.
Yeah, we're here all day today. We're here anyway. So
brilliant.
If you catch us tonight, then
hello.
Great.
Oh, brilliant. I'll see you around. Yeah. Great. See you later. This is Nick Kyle.
Hi Ben.
Hello, how are you?
Fine, thanks.
Answers before the questions.
Yeah, answers before the questions. I can tell you the story behind it.
Oh right, well, why don't you do it? Why, the meaning? Well, you know what? I'm actually going to. I'm actually not going to buy anything today. I'm sort of like just looking around, but I'll make a decision tomorrow. I think to what I'm going to buy. But
£2.
all right, I'll probably pick that up. Yeah, certainly. I'll see you later. There we go. There's the Kinsellas. No, I can't tell them apart. I knew I just met Rodney, but I met Ronnie, but I can't tell them apart either. Here's Paul's thing. I've got that. I've not got that yet. I've got that book. Hello. Yeah, I've not got that yet. I've got those. I've got two and that one. Yeah. I'm sort of walking around at the moment, just looking at things. I think I'll have to. Yeah, and tomorrow, yeah. So I'll have to decide what I'm going to buy later on, I think. But yeah, that looks good. I know the story behind it. It looks very good.
That's why we dance so well. I've had stuff all in the past.
There's Maria, you've already seen. There's Daryl Sims here. Muhammad Ibrahim. That's him there anyway, but you can have him there. The stormtroopers took their helmet. I think that's when they dropped into the rubbish tank. I think their helmets took off. And this is Courtney Kane. Hello.
How are you?
All right. How are you?
Good.
Oh, nice. After you two. I'm Ben.
Hi, Ben.
Oh yeah. You too. Hello there. How are you doing? Ben. Nice Ben. Nice to meet you.
Wonderful. Have you enjoyed listening to everybody?
Yes, well, I've only heard two so far. I've heard Nick Pope and Paul Sinclair, and they're very interesting.
Yes.
You know, but I think it's a little bit of a break before the next one.
Yes.
When's your talk?
Tomorrow morning, like 11 or 11:30, I believe.
Oh, cool. Is this your book?
Yes. Hi, Courtney. Yep.
Oh, cool.
If you're on social media, take that.
Thanks.
Go find me on social.
Oh, thank you very much. Cheers. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So lovely to meet you.
You too. Thanks for coming. Thanks.
Of course. We're loving it.
It's a great event. I just love it here. I do. It's really good. I'll see you later. Take care. James Fox is not here yet, and there's the Popey. Old Nick Popler, who is meeting his adoring posse. There he is, yeah.
The man behind the mask.
He's been mobbed by his groupies again. Here, Melissa. I think she's next up in Hangar 1. Oh, she got Tina's book. That's good. She got good taste anyway. James Church is not here yet. Elizabeth Hoekstra. Now I think that's Billy Carson's missus. And Bill's himself is not here yet. So that's good. There's a few other people I think who were speaking. I've not actually seen there in terms of their stalls. But yeah, I'll try and show you. I'm going to have a look at a few more stalls now. Maybe see some more people. Yeah. Oh, it's St George King. It's the Ethereal Society. They appear at everything. They appear at all these events. And you're here. This is like This reminds me of Glastonbury. All these crystals and things like this. And more. More healing and things like this. Come over here. I mean, the atmosphere is really extraordinary. It's an amazing thing. The harmonic egg healing revolution. Oh, this is the sound vibration. Interesting stuff. I think that's the. That sounds like interesting.
It's bigger than that. You have to sit inside it.
I thought it was like a model. It's like a flotation tank kind of thing. I just wondered if that's... Is it?
They're the ladies that
I'll have to ask her, yeah. I know there are some you fill with water, it's like a big bath.
No, it's not that.
That's the flotation.
It's light and sound, that's all I know.
Right.
Yeah, this is two herbalists, a male and a female.
Oh, right. Yeah. Oh, I'm not sure, but this is yours, is it?
I'm not hard.
Yeah, you do the...
So I've got mostly CBD and lots of cough medicines and a few tinctures.
Well, those always come in handy. Yeah, I've been using tea tree oil because I've got bad toenails, and apparently it's helpful. It's quite good for toenails and things like that.
It is.
Yeah, but I'm just love events like this because you like.
There's so much unusual stuff, isn't there?
Yeah.
You don't know what you're doing.
It's something it's really nice, you know, when this sort of thing. Hello, how are you doing?
How's the hospital portrait?
Oh, not bad, thanks, not bad. Thanks I'm glad you watched. I'm actually making one right now. I'm making a video of this, but yeah. Oh, thanks for watching.
What was your
HPANWO, Hospital Porters Against the New World Order. Yeah, I'm Ben. My name's Ben.
Oh, congratulations.
Oh, yeah. I visit all kinds of. If you go to these kinds of conferences, you always bump into me because I always go to these events. I love them. Yeah, I always go to these events. This is really. There's so many more elsewhere. You know, there's loads, and this is probably the biggest though. I think.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
This is definitely the biggest. Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely, really is. All right, I'm going to get a cup of coffee. I think I'll see you later.
I might look you up. I'll have to ask you around.
Oh my God!
What was it? Is that Instagram or YouTube?
Oh, it's everywhere. It's on Blogger, YouTube, Twitter.
What was it?
Hospital Porters Against the New World Order. HPANWO.
So is that what you do with your other job?
No, that's what I just do when I'm not on my normal job. Yeah. That's what I do everywhere else. Yeah. That's just me. That's my sort of website and everything. Yeah. What's your name?
Caroline.
Caroline.
Yeah, we're both herbalists.
Oh right. What's your name, sir? Neil Caroline. I like your Bigfoot thing. That's good. That's good. Yeah. Very interesting subject.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I'll see you later. See you later. Take care. And this is Merlin Joseph of Polly Crimson. Merlin Joseph of Arthur. Right, by Mark Holly, is it? Oh, Mark Holly, yeah, I know him. It's Polly Crimson. That means many types of time, I think. And it's Oh, lovely. Very nice. Those look lovely. You are right. I've read that. No, I haven't read the book. I've watched the documentary. Yeah. That's due to be released 1st of November, right? Yes. Oh, right. No problem. No problem. See, it's pre-publication. Yeah. But it's there's a very good documentary about this. Which you can get, I think it's on YouTube actually, by Mark Ollie, and he talks about the. It's actually near where I actually come from, West Wales. I was actually born in Aberystwyth, so it's not far from where I used to live. But it's near Aberystwyth in West Wales. There was an impact in early 70s, 1973, I think, or 1983 or something. Because it's 40 years, and it's an interesting thing. I'll see you later, sir. See ya. I've got to go to the toilet and get some coffee, but it's difficult to walk away. You know what I mean? There's a here's yeah. Lovely. So I know you. What's your name? Dave. Dave. Yeah, I know because I know you'll just look at very well. Hey, I'm actually in Hangar 3 now, and Hangar 3, as you can see, is really just a collection of seats in the corner with a stage. But in a minute, there's going to be a talk about numerology, and when that finishes, Billy Carson is on a Hangar 2, so I'll nip straight over there when this is over. But this is this gentleman here, Stephen Kirkbride. Now, if Ellis Taylor was here, I think he'd be interested in this because he's really into numerology. So yeah, just finished. So I left Stephen Kirkbride the end of his a bit early because Billy Carson's on here in Hangar 2, so I want to see that. So I'm going to watch. I'm not going to watch all of it though because there's something else in Hangar 3 I want to see after that. So here we go into Hangar 2.
Get the house lights on? Billy, that's good enough. Everybody stand up, shake yourself. Let's take a selfie with Billy.
Yeah.
Mr. Billy Carson, everybody.
There's Billy Carson still talking behind me. I'd like to hear the rest of his talk. It's very interesting, and I'll say more about it later. But I want to see Graham Rendell over in Hangar 3, so that's where I'm going to go next. I'm in Hangar 3 now, waiting for Graham Rendell. The actual not auditorium, the merchandise area is actually quietened out a little bit because there's talks going on in all three hangars, so most people are now watching one or another of those. Hello. Hey, how you doing? So yeah, it should be interesting. He's talking about Foo Fighters, German UFOs, so yeah, that's going to be interesting stuff. I've just seen Graham Rendell do his talk here in Hangar 3, and I'll just show you his stall. These are his books here. UFOs before. You see, this is the one he was talking about. Amazing image there. That is a bomber there. It's a World War II bomber. Oh, it's firing on a Foo Fighter UFO, and there's these other things here. Like artwork on it. Dawn of the Flying Saucer. Nice.
My kind of thinking, it's only my opinion what it's worth.
Got some old books here. Stanton Friedman, Timothy Good. Yeah.
They might have some.
Yeah, that was just quite a lot there. I mean, don't know what I'm going to buy yet. I'm still sort of looking around to see what I want to see. But as you see, there's so much to choose from. There's going to be another one on in Hangar 3 in a minute. So I'm getting hungry actually. I might have to go and get myself some food. But see how that goes. But just a quick look around this area. See, there's all kinds of strange creatures wandering around here. There's a little one there, you see. There's a little Wookiee. There's a big Wookiee. There's a few more like that. I'll show you them later. Not mentioning any names, but the back of that head looks rather familiar. It looks like a certain retired ex-gay porn star, who I will be avoiding this particular expedition. Well, I'm in Hangar 1 again, and in a moment we'll be seeing Daryl Sims. Interesting chap, comes from the United States, talks about implants and many other things. So, curious, I'll only be watching about half of it because then I've got to nip out. I want to see Dr. Elizabeth Shumsky. So she's in Hangar 3. So anyway, here we go. I left Daryl Sims. He was a very interesting guy, but he clashes with another event I want to see, Susan Shumsky, who's here in Hangar 3. So I'm going to watch that now. But Daryl, I'll say more about the individual speakers later and about what they said and what they were like. But Daryl has an interesting story to tell. Excuse me. So yeah, I'm having a lovely time. I met up with some more friends at lunch. I didn't film them. I didn't think they wanted to be filmed, but yeah, I've had a bit of a brief snack. I'm here with Graham Rendell. Hey, Graham.
Hello there. How are you?
It's good. Fine, thanks. Good to see you again. You remember Graham from the streetcar named Stargate, my reportage of the last Awakenings conference in Blackpool. But what are you talking about today?
Foo Fighters and Nazi UFOs, believe it or not.
Oh, yeah, because so did UFOs not begin with Kenneth Arnold? They go back before then?
No, they didn't. I mean, they go back to antiquity as far as various records and people's presentations go. My focus is more on World War II.
Oh right, because I know a bit about this subject because there's several documentaries about the various flying saucers. Well, even before they called them flying saucers, that the bomber crews and the fighter crews were seeing strange things in the sky. These objects were lights, discs, or what other sort of shapes were they? Were they the same as the kind of flying saucers and UFOs other people saw?
Yeah, I mean, like today and like sort of the last 8 decades, the shapes and sizes have all been different. So you had things like rectangles flying in the sky, just coloured lights, torpedo-shaped craft, what you might call a tic-tac. So the whole range basically.
That's really remarkable. And did these objects appear to take a special interest in? I know it's difficult to assign motivations to whatever intelligence is behind them. Yeah. Do you think they took a special interest in our weapon systems back then?
It seems that some certainly did, and there's accounts of lights and kind of craft either creeping up or following aeroplanes, sometimes for fair distance, hundreds of miles at a time. So there may have, if you can assign maybe curiosity, if that's the case. If we're looking at purely human terms, I guess if you want to speculate about it, and let's say somebody was wanting to look at a conflict on Earth, a major conflict, then that might be a good way of looking. Now, if that's somebody from beyond the Earth, or whether it's time travelers from the future, historians looking back in the past, who knows? But yeah, if you're going to look at a particular time in history, a pivotal moment in the world's history, that'd be a great place to start, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it could be. Probably travelling back in time is you then put changes, but then changes the future, so it's no longer the future.
How much interaction do you have? Because it seems that the interaction was minimal, and obviously we don't know about aircraft that didn't come back. But these encounters seem to be pretty benign. These objects didn't interfere with the aeroplanes in any particular way. Yes, the crews were scared in some cases, but it doesn't seem to actually interfere with the engines or with the actual airframe or anything like that, or the instrumentation. So, who knows?
But you do mention a time when one of the crews actually fired on one of these objects.
Oh, I mentioned in the presentation about that, but actually there are more documented cases of objects being fired at during the course of the war, so it's not an isolated case.
Now, as long ago as the war, there's several military strategists were speculating that this might be some kind of German super weapon, and of course this carried on after the war.
It did.
What are your own views on that?
Well, as in the presentation, I basically rule out a lot of things because there's no way that, say, that the jet or the rocket aircraft could have performed in the same way as some of these encounters have been described. But the same goes for the missile systems, the other secret weapons that the Germans were building. If you look at the capabilities and you look at where they were designed, where they were tested, and the fact that they never became operational, then this is when you can rule these things out.
Right. I mean, it's quite a fashionable idea nowadays that some UFO sightings, at least, a lot of people believe are actually secret weapons platforms designed by humans.
Yeah.
And and of course, you did address this in your talk, didn't you?
I think the way to look at it is that yes, okay, there may be a fraction of cases might be actually some secret tech. But when you look at, let's go back to the, say, 1950s, and you didn't have drones back then, or the drones were full-size aircraft, remote-controlled aircraft. So it's hard to reconcile those with the things we've seen back then. Nowadays, because of drone technology, is more advanced than it was back then. The differences, sort of like narrow between what's possible and what's reported. But I still don't think in a lot of cases most of the things that are reported can be just written off as drones, because we're still not there yet in terms of the capabilities of modern technology.
Yeah, I mean, if we was at war, I think I feel safer thinking they were aliens than the enemy.
Yeah.
If they have that kind of capability.
But look at the Ukraine war at the moment. Look at the drones that both sides are using. They're still fairly unsophisticated, So I think if you look at the kind of speeds and the manoeuvrability that are reported in some of these cases, especially the one the US Navy pilots have been reporting, these drones can't do that. Yeah. So it must be something else. What that something else is, of course, that's the big $64,000 question.
Yeah.
But it's not the thing, not the drones.
Oh, fascinating subject. I mean, you're on YouTube, I know, because I've seen you. What's your channel called?
Well, I don't have a YouTube channel as such. I appear on a lot of other people's channels.
That's it. I've seen you on several. Yeah. I've seen you on. Is it that UFO podcast?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, and Vinny's disclosure team as well.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. Oh, brilliant. Yeah. Well, I do really enjoy those programs. Okay. So I recognise you. Of course, we met before, and it's good to see you again. So thanks for coming.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. I was Graham Rendell, interesting chap. Before that, I was looking at Dr. Susan Shumsky, who did a lot of very interesting stuff. It's stuff to do with it was kind of she called it the brain gym. You do all kinds of exercises to loosen up your energy fields in your body. Some of them are quite funny. At one point we had to sort of like crouch down, put our hands on our knees, and sort of breathe out and clench our bottoms and things like that. Quite something. Anyway, I'm not sure if I feel any particular enlightenment right now, but I'll let you know if I do. Johnny Enoch is on in a minute, so going to pop in a hangar too and see him. There was a massive rain cloud approaching. It's really lovely. It's really beautiful. But I'm here with my friend. I won't name her. I'm here with a friend who's in Rendlesham Forest, and we're going to go and watch Billy Carson's film in a minute. But I just love watching this. As soon as the rain starts, though, we can just nip in through that door, which is a good thing. But we're here we're just watching. We're just sort of like waiting for the rain cloud to approach and for it to start pouring down. My friend's got an umbrella, luckily, but it comes in handy. Yeah. But Billy Carson's showing his new video in a minute. I couldn't believe the rain that's out there right now.
You could.
It's actually calming down a bit now, believe it or not. But that black cloud we saw earlier, this is the result. Whoa, look at that. These t-shirts here, look, Ascension art. I believe before it was cool. Yeah, exactly.
And that's based on this one, which was the original.
Oh, nice. I was looking at these earlier. They're really nice. Oh, that's
under UV light, without.
That's beautiful. Yeah, that's beautiful. These are really nice. I mean, I was looking at some of these earlier, and they're really cool. Really nice. Brilliant. Do you make these?
Yeah, so I paint one of these.
Oh, you got like a.
That's divine masculine. He just wakes up when you.
Yeah. So when you shine that, it shows up these extra little matrix blocks. And
Yeah.
That's clever. How'd you do that?
It's just really pale UV paint that is layered, so you can't, especially on this one, you can't see it without the light. So that just looks
there's the
plain.
UV light up there. Yeah.
We've also got bioresonance crystals here and holograms, so that's bioresonance program with healing.
Oh, beautiful.
And that's my starseed program, which connects you to your starseed origins, your life purpose, and your mission here on Earth.
Oh, I like the Stargate. That's brilliant.
How about the light language over here in mirror paint as well?
Oh right, is that automatic writing? Is that?
Yeah, and that's all in mirror paint.
Nice.
I like to use
Like the heart.
high quality, high pigmentation paint, so that's Culture Hustle Blackest Black, mirror paint, and metallics.
Oh, fantastic. Well done. Brilliant. I'll see you later. I'm here all weekend.
Yeah, same.
See you. Bye-bye. That's amazing, isn't it? There's so much to see here. I've just been watching. I watched Billy Carson's new video, his new movie, the documentary rather. Calling it a video seems a bit cheap, and it was very good, very interesting. And I'll say more about it later. Like I said, I'm doing all the big reviews later when I'm not here. And then I went outside. I met Mary Rodwell, which is really nice. And she's doing her talk tomorrow. And I don't know where everyone is now. I don't know where all people are, all people I know. But it looks like they're finishing in Hangar 2 now, so I'll catch them as they come out. Because I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I've got to leave basically when Taj and Sandra leave. I'm not exactly, and they may want to go before the end. Hey guys, how you doing? You remember Derek from last week's movie? He's here again.
Hi there. Yeah, hi.
Nice to see you enjoying yourself.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah,
brilliant speakers, brilliant locations.
It's great atmosphere, isn't it?
Lovely.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent.
It's good to see you again, mate. Yeah. Hey, Serena. Hey, Taj, you all right? How are you? All right. How are you doing? Good to see you again.
Yeah, you too, babe. I was asking for you earlier.
Yeah.
I know you're busy doing your
I'm doing my little
filming and
video,
stuff.
yeah, but you've been on there before, Serena. You've been on before. There's Taj, you met him before. But it's been fantastic, isn't it? It's been really good. Yeah. Taj, you staying to the end tonight? Are you going to the panel there, I think?
I don't know, I was thinking what Colin's doing. Maybe we might go to the Speakers Hotel.
Oh, cool.
So I might hang out with Johnny or whatever.
Yeah. Well, that'll be fun. That'll be interesting to see. So we'll sort of play it there, see what we want to do later. But
I don't know where Colin is. So.
He's somewhere in the darkness. He's somewhere in the darkness. Yeah. It seems like there's fewer people here now, but they're shut down the stalls because it's getting late. But I watched Billy Carson's new video, his new documentary. I keep calling it a video, so it's cheapening it. Documentary, about the Black Knight satellite. Yeah, it's really, really good stuff. It's very good stuff. Here we are. That noise you hear is a generator. So Sandra, Taj and I are out here. I wish I smoked because they're all the best social life, but I can still join them. Yeah. Oh, there's old Jimmy. Yeah, there's old Jimmy. There's Jimmy there. He's smoking away, puffing away. He's been a good MC. I mean, I do like his show. I enjoy the show. I like the show he does with Christina Gomez as well. Very, very good. But now, looking at the sky, there's a lovely sky as before. No big rain clouds. There's a lovely cloud there in the distance. So yeah. And you know what? When did you last see a chemtrail?
Yeah.
When did you guys? When did you guys last see a chemtrail? When did you last see a chemtrail? I haven't seen any for ages. Right, maybe I've been looking properly, but I just haven't seen one for ages. None at all today. clear blue sky, lovely. Hey guys, well, we're just waiting now. I mean, I'm here with Sandra there, and we've decided, along with Taj, that after 9:30 we're going to leave this conference because it goes on very late. It goes on really late, and I mean, really, we need to get back because we need to get to bed because we got a journey. We don't live next door. We got a journey to go to get back. So unfortunately I'm going to miss the UFO panel this evening, but I'm sure it'll be recorded and we're going to watch it online. But you know, so that's how it goes. You know, because I mean, if you stay on it goes on till like midnight. So yeah, exactly, all day tomorrow. But yeah, apparently Friday night wasn't up to much from my ear. No. Because like I mean, you've got your VIP ticket. You could have gone. You know, you could have gone if you'd wanted to. I'm a mere gold ticket member, so I'm slumming it with the gold people, as you know. But so you know, but we mere gold ticket holders couldn't go to that. But if you had a platinum ticket, you would go to the Friday afternoon and evening event. But you know what?
I asked for the gold though. I didn't ask for gold. I didn't ask for platinum.
Yeah, but they let you in because of your media, your press pass. You got a press pass. I could have asked.
Why you?
You know what? I mean, I reckon Steve would have given me a press pass. Yeah. I mean, but you know, I'm not that bothered. I'm not bothered. But not least because I'm not. Because I can be critical as well. I can be critical when critical's. And of course, I'm going to be critical in this video too. Yeah, I'm critical when it's needed to be. But anyway, apparently Friday night wasn't up to much, from what I hear. Craig Charles. He was supposed to hang around and meet and greet people. Apparently, this is what I heard. I wasn't there, but the people who were there said he was supposed to meet and greet people, take a few photos. Now, as far as I know, one person did get a photo with him.
Oh.
It was yeah, and then he just buggered off. He just walked out.
Wow.
And he was supposed to hang around. He was supposed to, you know, sign people's.
Is that all the posters?
Yeah, he's the keynote speaker.
The poster.
He's right at the front of the list of speakers. Yeah, I mean, and yeah, so he just went, and then the other thing was, they get a screening. You get a big screening of Moments of Contact by James Fox, and because you know, regular viewers will know I've done a full review of that video about the Marvagini incident. Now, and that sounds good. I mean, even though of course you could watch it anytime you like for about £4 on Amazon. You know, I thought to watch it on the big screen with everyone else would be a lovely experience. But you know what? They didn't show the whole movie. They showed a 45-minute. Edited version, 45 minutes. The film is almost 2 hours long, and they showed a 45-minute, you know, like the Reader's Digest cut. I mean, that's pathetic. That's pathetic. I'll feel let down. I'd feel let down. So
I think I was here with Elizabeth.
Yeah, so I'm quite glad. I'm quite glad I didn't get the platinum ticket. You know, I really am. So yeah, I think I've got everything I need just from having a gold ticket. Everything I need, yeah.
So,
James Fox just won the Stellar Citizen Award. This is an amazing shirt you got in there. This is this number here in the Barclays.
Oh, no, that's my dad's army number.
Oh, right, that's his tribute to your dad there.
Yeah, but he was disgusted when he saw that. He was all terrified. Oh, you can't do that.
Look at these eight. You've got aliens on there. Star Trek badge. SG Alba. No,
no, that's
Stargate.
Yeah, Stargate. And Alba is for Scotland.
It's Gaelic, isn't it? Yeah, Scotland.
It's Gaelic for Scotland.
And there is the and there is the flag. And what's on the back?
I got my.
And there's one on the back there. Yeah, nice
on the
Karen.
back.
This is Karen. It's nice to see you again, Karen. Yeah. The venue after Saturday. It ended with. I mean, there's still more to go, like the UFO panel, but we got to go. I mean, we've got like a journey ahead of us, and like I said, we can't stay. But the UFO friend or foe panel, it'll be recorded. But you know, amazingly, you've moved the car. All right, Taz has moved his car away from the gravel. He was told to park on the gravel. There was an award. There was an award for 2023 Stellar Citizen, and it was done by James. It was James Fox won it. It was presented. It was. Sorry.
It shut itself.
smoothly and quietly.
Yeah, Tanya's car is like pretty sexy, actually, I must say. Anyway, it was.
If we go back, if we're going to go back right down the road out, we come that way.
Alright guys, yeah, I'll say more tomorrow, but basically I can just say that the 2023 Stellar Citizen Award went to James Fox, and it was presented by the guy who directed Rob Roy. Peter something, I can't remember his name. Rob Roy's a really good film, by the way, with Liam Neeson, Jessica Lange, fantastic movie. John Hurt plays the bad guy really well. He's very into UFOs, the director. But James, I'll say more tomorrow, James Fox got the Stellar Citizen Award. It was a really very, very well done. Like I said, it was a special announcement. It was all kept secret. It was a big surprise. And my goodness me, it was done very, very well indeed. And it was really quite moving. And everyone, you know, there was people crying, and and James was crying, and his family were there, and they were crying. It was like his sister was there too. She helps him. And yeah, it was a really very touching moment. It was very well produced indeed. I'll say more about everything that happened today tomorrow morning when I wake up. Well, good morning. It's Sunday. I was going to do like a big review of Saturday Speakers. I can't do that now because, well, things like the guy who was going to give us a lift can't give us a lift now. We've had to get an Uber. They keep altering the prices of it, so we have to book it when it's cheapest. What a rip-off they are! Because it was like £10 and it was £30. It's awful. But anyway, so we're going to get to the venues when we can, and now it's the Hangar 1 starts at 11. There's something going on in Hangar 2 that started at 10, which I didn't notice at first. It is actually a screening of A Tear in the Sky, which is a really, really good film, which I've seen. I've actually done a HPANWO radio show about it. I interviewed some of the crew, but what's her name? Corey Davidson, the director, is actually doing a presentation of it, and it's a very good film. So if you haven't seen it, it's basically a kind of big. It's a massive skywatch in the area where the Nimitz incident took place, and it's a private event, so it's not controlled by the government. But anyway, we're now having to sort of get ourselves to the venue somehow or other, and hopefully we'll get there before the end of the day. Okay, guys, we're in an Uber, and we're heading for the venue. It's actually, the weather is not the best actually. It's showers forecast, heavy showers forecast all day. So the big shower we had yesterday with the hailstones might be just a taster of what's to come. But we're going to be indoors anyway, so that's the main thing. Now guys, we're now heading into the venue. Now, A Tear in the Sky, like I said, I made a mistake. We could have got here a bit earlier, but A Tear in the Sky is underway in Hangar 2. That's being screened right now with the director, so we're going to head there. Well, you'll recognise this stall. It is the Marshall Ryan Summer stall, and these books are for free if you want to take them. And of course, everyone who goes to the conference knows Lorraine.
Hi everybody, great to see you. It's great to see Ben.
Yeah, how are you getting on? Are you getting on all right?
I'm fabulous. It's it's really interesting, this conference. People seem to really start to understand that the aliens are not on our side. They are here for themselves. They're colonizers. You know, nothing is good is happening in the world, and we're continuing to go into a dystopian nightmare, and yet they're pretending, oh yeah, we're here to help. No, they're not here to help. And that's why I do this day in, day out. You know, whether I'm on Twitter, I'm on TikTok.
I see you on a lot of things, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not stopping. And
good for you, yeah.
This is about empowering the human spirit from the inside out. This is not about anybody telling you what to do. It's about you discovering that power within you that can't be fooled, it can't be manipulated, and it's directly connected to the source of all life. And I'll tell you, it's the most powerful, potent, wonderful thing that could ever happen to you.
And after years and years and years of being a stall holder at conferences, you finally did your own speech.
I did. I wasn't perfect, but I spoke from my heart, because I have come through this work to love the human heart and the human spirit, and that's why I do it.
We say that the aliens are not bad. Now, I mean, of course, there's people like Dr. Stephen Greer who believes the aliens are all good.
Yes,
and if anyone says they're bad, that's just the CIA playing tricks on you. And you say that it's the other way. You seem to have taken the opposite position.
Absolutely, 100%.
But I mean, our aliens are not a singular thing. I mean, I don't see them as a singular thing. There seem to be many different species. They appear to come from many different locations. Are they all the same?
I can answer that. Okay, so this work, from everything I can understand, has literally come from the source of all life. Now, it takes time to discern that. I don't expect anybody to believe me. We make everything freely available online. So they go into the details of what's referred to as the pacification program. So the pacification program is getting people like Greer and like others to say, oh, it's love and light. They have been recruited in order to win human allegiance, because they have to have a workforce. They have to have humans that are willing to be their guinea pigs, basically. But it says, yes, of course there are beings of all sorts. There's billions and billions of races of beings out in the world. However, only the ones that are here, right? Doesn't matter which one it is, they are all resource explorers here for themselves. They simply use different techniques to win people's allegiance. Some win it spiritually, but they're all economic and resource explorers. They say the Earth is it's in a very strategic location, and life everywhere needs food. It needs plants, it needs oxygen, it needs water, it needs DNA, it needs plasma, it needs the building blocks of life. And our planet is very rare. It is worth a fortune. So they will say anything and do anything in order to get their hands on the planet.
Oh, interesting. So what would you say to people like Mary Rodwell, who has the children who have encounters with benevolent beings? Do you believe they are really genuinely benevolent?
They're not benevolent whatsoever. Benevolent beings don't take children. What Mary's dealing with, and I do believe Mary's acting in good faith, but the trouble is the aliens are able to implant screen memories. And now the only hypnotist that I know of that's truly been able to break through those screen memories is Barbara Bartholic, who was the mentor of Dr. Carla Turner. And Dr. Carla Turner has the book, Masquerade of Angels, where Ted Rice thought that he was being visited by angels his whole life, when in reality these beings were doing horrendous things, and they even killed his grandmother when he was 10 years old. So what Mary's dealing with are the screen memories, and they're simply getting better at manipulating human minds. And that's why the Steps to Knowledge and Marshall's work is in the world, is so that humans can develop the ability to be able to see through any and all deception. And it comes from, again, it comes from within you, so that your mind, the only thing that aliens cannot manipulate on human beings is spiritual power. That is how all this work came into the world. It was a spiritual channel. If they can manipulate technology, they can manipulate human minds, they can manipulate the mental environment, but they cannot manipulate true spiritual power.
Do you believe, like, I mean, I'm open to the idea, you know, that's one of the reasons we're being lied to about ET presence is that the news might not be very good. And they always say be careful what you wish for, because disclosure... I mean, for example, I always use the example, what if it turns out we're being farmed, and we live in some kind of intergalactic barnyard, and we can't escape our fate any more than a cow can escape from a farm. I mean, if that were true, would you want to know? The answer is, I think, yes, I would want to know. But regardless of how bad the news is, I mean, do you believe yourself that is why we're being lied to? Do you think it's because of the information you have?
I think there's multiple reasons we're being lied to. I mean, number one, aliens are influencing. According to the Allies of Humanity, Book 1, they are influencing behind the scenes certain government officials, economic powers, you know, the billionaires probably. They are manipulating human spirituality, our natural human desire for a spiritual nature, and they are manipulating, forget the last one, but anyway. So what they truly are, if you read the Masquerade of Angels, according to the Allies of Humanity, our bodies are considered a very valuable biological resource. So it's the blood and the plasma and the DNA. So why the government according to the Allies, governments in the past made deals with the aliens that were, where they could take a few, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know the details. It doesn't go into the details. But the Allies of Humanity confirms that, because they were spying on the aliens that were here. However, the Americans saw that they were not trustworthy and that they were breaking their agreements. So there was a time when the Americans were going against them. And so that's why they focus on America, in order to weaken America and to weaken our resistance. But would I want to know that that's what's really happening? Absolutely. Because we have the power to expel them. They are not military. They don't have any ability to attack. It's strictly, they are strictly relying on human acquiescence. And you can see with the followers that Greer has, a lot of people are going for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's they do seem to have an interest, for example, in our sex cells, our gametes. They take over from women, they take sperm from men, things like that.
Yeah.
You know, they even manipulate you sometimes into having like sexual relations with various creatures.
Absolutely.
Like, or what appears to be a facsimile of a human partner, like Antonio Villas-Boas, for example. But yeah, there's this reproductive element to it. I mean, it's I'm not. You know, Dr. Carl Turner died. He died quite suddenly. I think. Do you think there's anything suspicious about that?
Yes, I do. I think that was probably and because she was telling the truth and nothing would stop her. She's the only one I know of that went into the really ugly details of what they do.
Because they are deceptive. I mean, they told George Adamski they came from Venus. Now, in those days, back in the 50s, people didn't know anything about the planet Venus. Since then, we've learned it's actually it's one of the most inhospitable places in the universe. There's no way that complex life could ever evolve there. You know, microbial life might exist in the atmosphere at a high altitude, but not on the surface.
Well, it's interesting because the Allies of Humanity and Marshall's work goes into the fact that most planets have been colonized and are sterile, and they live underground. And this is why you never see any life on the surface. So they live underground. As far as the taking of sperm and eggs, according to the Allies and Marshall's work, they are hybridizing humans because the aliens that are on the craft can't live here. They have to pretty much stay on the craft. They can't breathe our atmosphere, and they're very susceptible to the biological life here. They don't have any immunity to it. So what they're doing is they're breeding hybrids that look like us but are loyal to them, and they can control human minds. So if you read Dr. David Jacobs' works, Dr. David Jacobs will talk about how a hybrid will go in and take something from a shop and not pay for it, and the shop assistant won't do anything. But the interesting thing about the hybrids is they can't understand a lot of the things that we know innately as humans, like why do you change your clothes every day? You know, I think it's in Jacob's work where a hybrid would pick up the phone, he couldn't understand what was going on, but he didn't know to plug it into the wall.
Yeah, I've not read that book yet, but I've heard Dr. Jacobs talking about
He's superb.
Yeah,
he's
very good.
He's onto them. He's truly onto them. We need, but the trouble is, we're not getting a lot of people like Jacobs following through, or Turner. You know, now people are suddenly, we used to take the subject seriously. We used to say, wait a minute here, like James McDonald, you know, he was saying we need to take this seriously around the world. He thought this was an issue for NATO in the 1950s.
Oh, he's very open-minded, James McDonald.
Yeah. But now it's turning into the Love and Light Brigade, and I think it's just simply that they've become better at manipulating human minds, and a lot of people are falling for it. And I know, you know, with this pacification, I was quite pacified before I found the new message. I was like, oh yes, forgiveness and acceptance and surrender. I ain't surrendering nothing. Don't ever surrender your sovereignty to anybody or anything.
I went through a phase where I was very into Dr. Stephen Greer, but at the time, even though I sensed that there was I sensed a lot of arrogance from the guy, and it's obvious that he's very egotistical, and he's created a kind of a cult, and that's a concern of mine. This is why I prefer events like this where you get more diversity of opinion, but Greer kind of has his own. I went to a Greer event. I only recognised a handful of people. There was like separate from. It's like a separate community from the rest of us. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's, you know, they have bought into what I consider to be the alien lie. You know, they think they're here to help us. They're told all sorts of things. Oh, they need my eggs, or they need our DNA to repopulate their planets. They'll tell you anything. It is all, according to this, it is all deception. And yes, there are lots of different races here, but all of them, no matter whether they're the Love and Light crowd or the more nefarious ones, they're all here for the same purpose. They just use a different technique. However, there's loads of different races out there. But what Marshall's work tells us, which is really beautiful, is technological worlds have no freedom, right? Because resources are so scarce out there, they have no freedom, they have no creativity, they have no self-expression. And one of the reasons that they want to keep us sort of out of that is because our freedom, even the fact that we would practice meditation, is considered a real threat to technological worlds, because they don't want their beings to understand anything about that.
Well, you know that as our planet becomes more technically advanced, it appears that there is more authoritarianism.
Of course.
The technology is being used for control, surveillance, things like that. We have CCTV, we have artificial intelligent computers that monitor our movements. So I can see that. Yeah. Did you believe there are any? The galaxy and the universe is huge. Are there any other species out there you think are on our side? And are they? If so, are they in touch with us?
The only ones that I know of are the Allies of Humanity, and they represent other free races in our local galaxy who almost lost their own worlds to the same forces that we're dealing with. However, the Allies, they came close, they spied on the ones that are here, they gave us the report, they've shared their wisdom, but they will not intervene because they're not human. That would be taking over. That's intervention.
Is that the prime directive kind of thing, is it?
Yeah, and so this is about humanity developing its own strength, we're considered a very promising race. This is what amazes me. The Allies of Humanity, the original mission was in 1985, and unfortunately they were discovered, and we lost some very, very precious beings. And it took until 1997 to get another mission organized for Marshall to have his first contact with them. And they've given us their wisdom. It's all freely available to read online with no strings attached. But yes, there's lots of them. But worlds that value, consciousness and freedom don't intervene in other worlds. So there's all sorts of, there's life out there. In the book, Greater Community Spirituality, it goes into the fact there is life in every stage of evolution, beings completely different to us. So there's going to be all sorts, but free planets that value the individual, or not human, but heart and creativity are very rare. Very rare. And that's why this is in the world, so that we can develop and continue to develop the human heart and spirit. And I just love that. I will fight for that the rest of my life.
I read this one, I think. That's the one I read, I think. And there was interesting stuff. It was interesting, yeah.
And they say
I've got another one of yours I haven't read yet, and that one. But
well, I'm glad you're reading them.
Yeah. If people want to know more, is there a website?
Yeah. There's newmessage.org.
Oh right, New Message. Right.
Newmessage.org and Allies of Humanity.
There we go. I'll take these. I'll show these to the.
Yeah, Allies of Humanity, and everything is available there, free to read. There's also on the newmessage.org. What you will find is revelations that Marshall has received, and this is in the original voice that Marshall received it in. So you're hearing the direct revelation from the source as it happens. And there's countless of them that are free to download on every subject you can imagine. Because this isn't just about aliens. This is about wisdom, real wisdom about developing as a human being and becoming a more caring, loving soul. Because what's happened to me, I used to be very angry and ugly. And when you do the steps to knowledge, which is this, when you do the steps to knowledge, what happens is it undoes the conditioning of the world, right? Because so many people are suffering. Their minds are driving them crazy. They can't stop it. So it takes that away. It sort of unburdens you very gently, very slowly, and it gives you what I consider to be true self-worth. You start to realize your life is important. You matter. You matter. And you have a gift to give to the world that you're perfectly designed for. And when you do the steps, I've been doing it for 8 years, and I am just not the person I was. Nobody's telling me to do any of this, but I've turned from an angry, self-centered person into someone who is devoted and committed to the future of humanity. A lot of this is going to happen well beyond my lifetime, but what we do now matters, and it will make a difference in the future, and that's why I do this.
Thanks very much, Lorraine.
Oh, thanks,
it's great to see you again.
And good luck, everyone.
We have the Dark Lord of the Sith here, so he's come here. There's some people doing dances on there. He's definitely the guy himself. I sometimes think that I think that the Star Wars actually might be symbolic on a subconscious level. The kind of thing that Lorraine was talking about, some of the intergalactic war that's been running for a long, long time. Soak up the atmosphere, guys. It's really great here. I'm back in Hangar 2 now, just waiting for Maria Wheatley to start. I've just spoken to her. She's got a brand new presentation, so it should be very interesting. Alright, I'm now in Hangar 1. I had to leave Maria Wheatley halfway through. No offence to her, it's just Mary Rodwell is on in a minute here. And unfortunately, they clash, so I thought I'd watch half of Mary, then come and watch half of Maria, then come and watch Mary. But Maria was very interesting. As always, I'll say more at the end. But I'm just sort of setting up slides and things now. Oh, just listening to Mary Rodwell do her talk now, which is fascinating. Again, I'll say more at the end of it. Maybe I'll get a few words with her as well on camera. But yeah, always an amazing, interesting lady, definitely. So that's good. Now, I don't know what's happening next. I think I'm going to have to get some food at some point. But I'll still looking around for people I haven't spoken to. There's some people who want to interview me. They're kind of like, if you see anyone going around with a microphone, they want to interview me. Not him. Oh no, I don't want him interviewing me. So that I think should be all sorted out soon. I'm just going to look around these stalls, I think. By the way, this art I showed you yesterday, I didn't identify the artist. It's Ascension Art, channeled by Kerry Mitchell, spiritual fine artist. There you go. And it's ascensionart.co.uk. Well, things seem to be dying down a bit, so I think I'll go over and have a look at the mediumship in Hangar 3. Definitely. Hey Bill. Nice to see you again. And you've got this wicked jacket here.
Yeah.
It's actual skinwalkers. Yeah,
of course.
You got anything on the back?
No.
It's all on the front.
No, the front's better.
Oh, that's very good. It's good to see you again, mate.
Likewise, Ben.
We know each other a long time.
It's a good awakening. This is my first awakening.
Oh, you'll want to come back, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm here with Mary Rodwell. Hey, Mary.
Hello, Ben.
It's good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you, the old English lot.
Yeah, we've known each other now for like
a while.
Yeah, I think I first met you in like mid 2000s because you were at Probe. I think I knew you through Ellis Taylor. Ellis will be delighted to have met you. Yeah.
I miss old El. I've been meaning to talk to him for a bit, but I've not got round to Skyping him recently. So
he's doing all right, I think.
Yeah.
I see him every so often.
Yeah.
What's your talk been about? You did a really long talk. You did a long talk in the Hangar 1, and what was that all about?
Well, it wasn't about friend and a foe. That was last night's panel.
The one I missed. Yeah.
The one
Sorry about that.
You didn't miss it. Well, I don't think you missed a lot. The bottom line is what I'm trying to do is to take away some of the old issues around ufology, which is all about nuts and bolts side of it, bits of the craft, which is important, and nobody says it isn't. But what I'm finding with my research is we're talking about something far more profound and more esoteric in a way, because it's actually much more of a consciousness, if you like, focus. But I'm tying it into the DNA and the qualities of DNA that show us there's a lot more to that than this 3D version, that it's actually a lot more complex and it's tied to these beings, and the beings that are interacting with us are not all physical, and that's important too. It's actually knowing that there are not just physical beings, there are interdimensional ones, extra-dimensional ones, trans-dimensional ones, and beings from our future. So we've got some that are not literally physical at all, but are influencing us, or connecting with us, or communicating with us. So it's actually a far more broader paradigm of contact than the ufological perspective. And that's where I'm tying that all together to show there's a much bigger picture, which is to do with the evolution of us as a species. That to me is the important thing.
Because this is remarkable, because the UFO friend or foe, I think I can guess what that's about. It's because there's been a debate about the motivations of the ETs. I don't know if you're familiar with Lorraine Wilkins. She's got a stall over there, and she believes basically that we're under attack by a malevolent force, which sometimes disguises itself in a benevolent way. And I was wondering what you thought about that.
I think we have a lot of tricksters on this planet, and we get that in a very tangible way with the governments and or the organisations that are supposed to be caring for us, which in fact are not. So I think one of the biggest issues on this planet is resonating to a truth and finding out what the truth is, and actually working hard enough to actually work that one out. And that goes with a lot of these spiritual experiences. It goes a lot with the different ETs that we're visiting and whatever. You know, by their fruits you will know them, and often it's what is the outcome of your interactions. Are they positive for you and loving for you, or is something else going on?
Yeah.
And that's the same with everyday stuff that's going on this planet right now with the governments and all the other organisations.
You know lots of these. Obviously, you stay in touch with a lot of these people. You've known them, and some of them are adults now. And has it influenced them in a positive way? These contact experiences.
It's a good question, Ben. And what we've discovered with the Dr. Oprah Mitchell Food Foundation and the surveys we did with the 4,200 people, 600 questions, is 85%. A psycho-spiritual transformation. So that tells us there's something very positive going on, even though a certain percentage did not echo that. 85% is a lot out of 4,000.
I know a few of these people myself, and although people describe all kinds of different experiences with ETs, a lot of them are very positive, and they seem to have a positive point. You what you talked about, truth resonance. That's interesting. It's like sometimes I think you can trust your instincts, I think.
That's why we get them. Why do we have instincts? Why do we have intuition? It's to help guide us to truth. Because ultimately that's what we all want. We don't want to be lied to. We don't want to be deceived. But the trouble is that we're not taught to trust that part of ourselves in the programming, which is actually opposite to what we should be doing, which is trusting ourselves.
Because the ufological world at the moment seems to be, there's various factions with various theories about what the ETs want, what they are. As if you can ever judge such a wide taxonomy virtually of different creatures. Obviously come from very, very different places.
That's right.
With a single motive, because they don't. But some of them, I mean, are positive. Some of them seem to want, they care about us, I think. And when it comes to resonance, I often found that, it's like that line from the book by C.S. Lewis about the line "The Witch and the Wardrobe," where one of the characters is faced with a dilemma, and he says, "I knew I'd done the right thing because I remember the lions, the tears in the lion's eyes. When I remembered that, I knew I'd done the right thing because he knew the lion cared." Yeah, that's down the line and things like that. So just make. I thought about that when you said that actually. Have you got any new books? You're writing any new books?
I'm not writing any books at the moment because I don't have time. I'm too busy with supporting so many that are waking up right now. So I don't know when I'll get a chance to do that. But my work really with the people is more important at the moment.
You've got your book, The New Human. I showed you that earlier. I've just got a copy of that. And by New Human, are we literally going to transform into a different kind of species, physically, emotionally, mentally? Is that what the agenda is?
Well, I believe in total, and let's face it, there are lots of different intelligences visiting us with different programs and agendas. Is ultimately what we're seeing now is literally people waking up to a whole new reality and consciousness and higher consciousness, and that's happening globally and happening to people literally all over the world. And that's, I think, the primary objective of contact, is to awaken us to our heritage, which is our connection to these beings that created us in the first place.
Isn't there an easier way for them to do that, though? If they want to help us, they could land on the White House lawn or something, the proverbial, I mean, wouldn't that be an easier way?
They'd be shot at, Ben. They'd be shot at, because we've still got others that still believe it's all black and white and, Independence Day kind of scenario. And that's what they will try and do.
There's a lot of propaganda. I mean, the film Independence Day itself, it's an appalling film, but it's worth watching from an education point of view because it is just so...
Well, they're promoting fear.
It's just such monolithic and simplistic, crude vision of fear of the alien.
Yeah, it's very childish and black and white or adolescent, really. And it's about time we grew up and realised we're part of a huge, if you like, consciousness of intelligence. And we've probably been those beings ourselves at some point, and we've chosen to incarnate into this form.
Well, the children said we are the aliens.
Well,
and you know what? Another thing you talk about growing up, I mean, if the proverbial landed on the proverbial, then in a sense, they'd be kind of doing it for us. I mean, one of the things as we're both parents, and is teaching your children things. When you teach the children to do things, you have to let them do it themselves. You can't keep doing it for them. You've got to show them how to do it themselves, and then you watch them as they develop that from their own initiative to stand on their own 2 feet and move forward. And I kind of think maybe that's what they do, a kind of prime directive kind of thing, like in Star Trek. And
we're here to learn and to grow, and we're here to do it ourselves. We are the ones, they say, we are the ones that we're waiting for.
Oh, great. Well, thanks very much, Mary. Your talk was very interesting, and it's great to see you again.
Okay, Ben, good to see you too.
Here's one of the brains behind the event, Steve Mera. Here he is. Hey, Steve.
How you doing, Ben?
I'm brilliant. I just want to say a big thank you.
Oh, have you enjoyed it?
I've loved every minute of it. Thank you so much.
It's been a bit crazy. We've had 2.5 days this year. We had an extra day to it because it's Bank Holiday Monday tomorrow. And we thought we'd take that opportunity, grab another day, double the speakers, make it a real good event. And you know what? It's gone really, really well. We've had even stuff for the younger generation here. We've had the Star Wars guys and all these sci-fi stuff. Been a bit like, I always like to feel like it's great that we have that kind of Comic-Con style type event. But you know, it works, you know, and everybody has really enjoyed it, got great feedback. So now we're going to go away, have a week's rest, which we're going to do, because honestly, all this putting together. And then we're going to come back with some dates for the next year, and we're going to really take it up a notch next year.
I look forward to that.
We're going to be doing some stuff that's never been done before, and some speakers that we've never had here before. But it's just like I say, it's just coordinating it. It takes a year to coordinate these things.
Yes, I mean, so much goes into it. I mean, I've had a lovely time. I mean, it was really moving. You gave James Fox the Global Citizen Award. He deserves it.
Do you know what? I was really hoping he wouldn't get to find out. And when they were talking about it, I was looking over at James, and do you know what? Yeah, still at that point, he thought, I wonder if this award is for Melissa, because Melissa Tittle does movies and documentaries. And I think that was what was going through his mind, but then suddenly I could see that light bulb moment. He went, oh my God. And he was so humble, wasn't he, Ben? Because he was on stage, he was crying, and he said, I can't believe you guys that you give me something like this. I mean, I just thought, if there isn't a guy who deserves it more than James Fox.
He certainly has,
You know,
he is very well deserved. You know, it was so well done. That was so well produced with a little video and everything. You know.
Amazing.
And it's
some really more good stuff coming from James. I can't talk about it, but I know what he's already dealing with, and it's only going to get better.
Brilliant, because I think I've watched every one of his films. I've watched all the new ones. I've gone back and watched all the old ones. And I think he's brilliant. He's a real work.
He's got a finger on the
so
pulse,
dedicated.
and he's good at getting the information. That's not easy when you're out there and about, but he's doing it. He's already started production on his next one. Can't say about it what it is, but I tell you what, it's going to be amazing.
I bet I've no doubt. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, you've been really. It's been such an atmosphere here with all the artwork and the statues and the music and the films. I watched Tear in the Sky, which is really good.
Yeah, that was really good, wasn't it?
You see, I mean, I've seen that before. I mean, you can get £3 or £4 on Amazon, but it makes a difference seeing it at an event like this.
I was in quite a rush to get in there. Seen it, believe it or not, and never got around to having a look at it. But you know what? It's all about the science. A lot of science stuff now, new equipment. There's a lot of stuff going around us that we're not aware of because we just can't see it. But boy, don't they know our limitations and what we can see and experience.
I think they are. They're aware of us. And they know we're looking at them. Even the pilot said that. And
absolutely.
Even when those US Navy footage came out, I said to myself, I looked at where it was because they said exactly where it happened. I looked on the map and I thought, that's actually not very far from land. I thought, is it possible just private individuals could go out there and they could try and spot these things too?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I've got some footage, I've got some bits and bobs from people that have just gone ahead and gone and got it. You can do. Timing is everything, as you know. Having the right equipment, is also really helps. But the good thing is we've got clues as to what to do. And now we can pursue that.
We've got our own people like that, like Win Keach. I thought we both know him. He's a UFO photography expert too. So I mean, they've anyone the evidence is there for people who want to see it, and these guys did go out and get it.
The good thing what we've done this year is that we started introducing the paranormal, because it's about time people start to realise there's a connection. There's connection between the paranormal and ufological cryptids, you name it. If you look into it deep enough, you'll find those connections. And I thought it's about time we started introducing the paranormal, and we've had some great paranormal stuff over the last couple of days.
Paul's been, he's one of the greatest researchers into this.
But this was the first year he was actually talking about his own personal experiences, which is a bit different from his words. But you know what? Why did he get into it? This is why, the reasons, because he's an experiencer as well.
And it takes guts to do that. I mean, no one wants to talk about how they wet the bed,
He was a little bit nervous, I get that, but you know what? He wanted to get that information out because it's a great book, Night People, and so many who will read it will recognise it.
Exactly, yes. It's more common than people think, I think.
So you enjoyed yourself, Ben?
Yes, totally and utterly. And I want to say thanks very much, Steve.
You're welcome.
And I'll see you, I'm sure I'll see you around.
Oh, absolutely, Ben. You keep in contact. We'll talk soon.
You take care of yourself.
All right, cheers, buddy.
Right, this is the first live alien abduction in history. They've gone. We've got a guy who actually looks like Lou Elizondo as well. He actually spitting image, man. Spitting image. You look exactly like you do like Lou Elizondo. Oh guys, so we've left the conference now. We're leaving, and it's back to normality and the usual sort of things. You know what it's like. It's been a fantastic weekend. I'll say more later. Well, I'm watching Need to Know.
Complex if you had 1 in 5 American veterans.
Bryce and Ross are talking about the attack on David Grush, and they're going to put the world to rights.
Sad episode. I actually felt quite sad about it, to be honest. Bryce,
so did I, Ross.
Tacky, disgusting slime ball attempt to vilify David Grush for absolutely no good reason.
Very true.
Quite a shameful incident.
Very. Frankly. Alright guys, it is souvenir time, so we're going to do our souvenirs as always, and the first thing I want to show you is of course the New Human. I've already shown you this, but it's Awakening to Our Cosmic Heritage by Mary Rodwell, forward by Dr. Leo Sprinkle, who I believe has passed away. I got Mary's card as well. There you go, there's Mary's card for a CERN, and you can pause and read the back if you like. I've been after this for ages, this particular book. Beautiful cover illustration there by Lloyd Canning. What's this? Allies of Humanity. Oh, this is the Marshall Ryan Summers. I've got that, I haven't read it yet. But Lorraine Wilkins, of course, distributes them. This is another one. Who are the Allies of Humanity? Revealing the Engines of Gender. I think that there is Marshall Ryan Summers. He gives these books away. I don't know who funds that, by the way. I don't know exactly who funds that. No doubt people get suspicious about that. But it could be he's just wealthy enough to do it. Sometimes that is the case. That's my glasses there. This is my book by Graham Rendell, Dawn of the Flying Saucers. Aerial UFO Encounters and Official Investigations, 1946 to 49. Forward by George Knapp. This is Graham, of course, who you saw earlier. This is one of his books, one of his many books. Interesting chap. This is my ticket. That's that there. This is Origins, 4th of November. All right. I probably won't be able to go to that because I'm going to another event. But this is like various people here. That's at Bouverie Hall as well. No Maria Wheatley this time, but there's Professor Robert Temple, Dr. Irving Finkel. He's the bearded guy. Oh, he was on this Philomena Kunk on Earth thing. It's this comedy. Andrew Collins, Graham Phillips. Hugh Newman, of course, is that guy there with the glasses. J.J. Ainsworth and Megalithomania 2023. And you can have these various tours. Göbekli Tepe, you can go there now, apparently. It's not quite as dangerous as it used to be, because of course there was a civil war going on there. Dragonfly Paranormal. See the other side. There's the details there. Check them out. This is Catholic End Times Prophecy. Oh, bloody heck. Mark of the Beast, 33rd Secret of Fatima, World War III. Yes, fiery comet Russian. Oh dear. That's another doomsday scenario to get your knickers in a twist about. This is Manchester A to Z. Came in handy for Weird Weekend North. I didn't need it this time, but I wanted to bring it anyway. This is Book of Secrets. This is the latest from Reality Entertainment. Aliens, Ghosts and Ancient Mysteries. Sounds just up my street. Cuts deep into the source of the alien agenda. Philip Gardner, yeah. You can pause and read the back there, guys. This is by Brian Allen. I think it was on his stall. There's my pens. That is my phone charger. This is Marshall V. and Summers' latest books, The Great Wave of Change, Navigating the Difficult Times Ahead. And reminded me of that Surfing the Apocalypse. That website, surfingtheapocalypse.com, I think is defunct now. Growing economic hardship, political instability, declining energy and natural resources, climate change, catastrophic weather. So yeah, if one doesn't get you, the others will, basically. I don't know enough about this guy to know exactly what his plans are, but what his ideas are. But I did read one of his books. It's the same one, I think. I've got 2 of those now. This is Courtney Kane's Slides. Courtney Kane's Slides, Spiritual Medium. Oh yeah, she spoke in Hangar 2. I missed her talk though, but she has a unique form of synesthesia. Because she's an artist as well. Good for her. And you can have a look at. You can just check it out there. Check out the website and QR code there. Basis 2023 Egypt special. Right, I'm going to miss this one, but it's got Side Noah, the Pyramids of the Sun, and Maria Wheatley talking about the Great Pyramid of Magical Squares. So that's actually at the. It's actually 31st of August, which I think isn't that today? I think it's very soon anyway. Oh no, this is my program. Now the program is like really cool because it's got. Well, Craig Charles didn't really take much of play much of a role, as I said earlier. Funnily enough, Lou Elizondo was originally going to book to speak for this. I remember, and for some reason he pulled out. There's James Fox and Billy Carson. The Forbidden Knowledge World Tour, yeah, and this is Phenomena magazine. That's worth reading. That is, it's completely free. Just download it. It's a very good magazine. I think there's an article by me in it. Did I? I think I wrote an article for them at some point. I can't remember. I write so many. James Fox, Billy Carson. It's got a whole list of these various people. And there's Moment of Contact, of course. It's like a little magazine. Subconscious Revolution. Oh yeah. That's Elizabeth Hoekstra. So I didn't get any signatures, by the way, but there's 4Big TV. Alien Implant, Daryl Sims. And that's Barry Fitzgerald there. Good old Fade to Black. It's a good show, actually, Fade to Black with Jimmy Church. Charmed by Curiosity. See, you can, Kirsty Allen, you can actually collect autographs here. And by the way, one of these from last year was selling on eBay for £200, which had all the autographs in. So, and Mary, of course, we all know about. Chair in the Sky. There's the book. After Contact. Nick Pope. Right, I'll say more about him later. And this is Maria, I believe. Yeah, talking about the things the labyrinths and these other things she mentions. Hey, yeah, won't be a sec. It's Billy. The Black Knight Satellite, Beyond the Signal. Now that is the movie we watched. Oh, there's Maria's other page here. As you can get her signature. Paul Sinclair, that's his book. That's a good book now. I haven't actually finished it yet, but I read some of it. This is Courtney's Slides. And this here is Johnny Enoch, who I met briefly actually. Here's the entire. There you see is the entire list from Platinum Ticket Deal. That's for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Johnny Enoch. Oh, the Skull Experiments. Who's this? I missed this talk, but it's a fascinating. That is a fascinating story. The Skull Experiments. I just like I missed that. Damn it! That would have been interesting. You can't see everything. Nick Kyle. I think he was in Hangar. Was he in Hangar 2? I thought he was in Hangar 3. But that's a fascinating story. I've talked about it before. Here are the Kinsellas. And this is Ibrahim. This is Muhammad Ibrahim there. Ibrahim. Don't panic. Our haunted houses in the mind. And this is no, they're not in the mind. No, that's Steve Mera. So that's the entire. That there is the program. So it's like a little magazine. I'll probably read that quite a lot. Paranormal Torch. I met this guy briefly. He was in Hangar 3 listening to the psychics and the mediums and things. And Yeah, the Ethereal Society, Spiritual Energy. Oh, right, here we go, you can have a look at that. They were there, of course, they were at all these events, and they're nice people. I mean, I don't go along with their views, but they're pretty likeable, harmless people. People describe them as a cult. But, you know, the thing about it is there is a kind of UFO religion, but there's no money involved. So it's very different from, example, the Raelians or Scientology and things like that. Mysterious Universe Conference. Jeff Stray, I'm glad he's still going. Maria, of course. And you get a tour of Stanton Drew Wells. Nice, when's that? September, right. I remember Maria told me about that. Oh, this is Sail with Spirit Cruise, Seattle to Alaska. Vaccine not required. Nice one. And this is that lady, Dr. Susan Shumsky, or Shumsky, who, she did these really interesting, I'll tell you more about her later. She made us do these sort of exercises. It was a very practical thing. This here is Nexus magazine, the latest. It's my toothbrush. That is moisturiser. That's Alan Godfrey's book, which it took him 40 years to write. I haven't read it yet, so it should be worth it. And this here, I showed you this before, War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. And that was this particular adventure's souvenirs. Oh, good afternoon. It's the morning after the night before, should I say. This is the Monday bank holiday after the weekend. Taj and I are on our way back to the real world, the so-called real world, where, you know, where people think we're nuts and we can't really care what we say and things like that. And so I haven't had time really to do a proper review of the speakers, because I've just been, well, other things have been going on. So I thought I'd do that now, and I'd just go through some of the speakers with me. Maybe I can get Taj's input on it. Nick Pope was the first speaker of the Saturday, and Jimmy Church was the MC. And Nick Pope went on through a lot of things here. He talked about David Fravor, David Grush, Brian Graves, and Chuck Schumer's amendment, and first contact signals, announcements, and other intelligent aliens and non-intelligent aliens, and all kinds of other things. The thing is, he didn't actually say anything original. He said nothing that other people haven't already said, including me. He just simply, he made some good points, but he just repeated points others have made. And as I said before, I don't trust Nick Pope. He has lied. He's lied about people within this community. And that's, I think, leads us to be suspicious. You know, I'm no Richard D. Hall. I'm not the person who goes to sleep every night thinking there are MI5 agents under my bed. But agents exist, shills exist. It's a fact. I put that, sorry. And I'm not, without accusing him directly, I am suspicious of him. He is the Mr. UFO right now. He's back on the TV. I don't know about you, Taj, but I remember Nick was the Mr. UFO on telly for like years and years and years, like that Pocket God song, you know. His presence in this UFO documentary is mandatory. And do you remember that song? You heard that song? You heard the Nick Pope song by the Pocket Gods?
I haven't heard it, but yeah, he was in pretty much every UFO show.
And
for a while.
He was, and
so-called British Fox Mulder.
They call him the British Fox Mulder, the real Fox Mulder. Yeah, he was, and for many, many years, from sort of 90s onwards, he was, and he went quiet in the 2010s. Excuse me. He went to the United States, got married, settled down there, and then he came back. I think I was giving him the benefit of the doubt for a while, but then along comes the Larry Warren situation in 2016, and he immediately sides with Sasha and the others against Larry, me, Gary Heseltine and others, and Tino. And I thought, it's not strange so much that he took that side, as you'd expect him to, but you'd think this would be beneath him. You'd think what was essentially just a personal squabble would be something he wouldn't stoop to, unless Sasha Sasha was there, by the way. I didn't say it. Obviously, I didn't speak to her, but she was there. Unless somehow, for some reason, Sasha hit the right note inadvertently that they wanted to amplify. That is the people involved in the cover-up, whom I suspect Nick Pope may be involved with. Anyway, but oh, by the way, on the subject of Sasha, excuse me, David Young. we were leaving yesterday evening. David Young tried to speak to me. I said, go away. I said, I could see David Young. David has made up with a few people he fell out with over issues. You know, he has made up with some people who he was attacking as a kind of like as accessories essentially to the main culprits, who were me, Tino, Gary Hazeltine. He sort of made up with them, but I mean, he said a lot worse about me than he did about them. He attacked me more than he did them, and he's never apologised to me. He's never issued a public retraction of the things he said about me. He's never deleted the things he's posted about me, including the toxic accusations from Sasha that he shared. He shared them very enthusiastically. So if someone wants my attention, I'll give them to them in a minute. So I just said, go away. He said, oh, you're a big tough guy, aren't you? What about the time you threatened me? And I just said, go away. The fact of the matter is, I didn't threaten David Young. I mentioned in my Confronting Droik video that the method I used in that video I could use with David Young if he was willing to. It was a kind of, what's the word, voluntary kind of thing. Oh, anyway, so, what else do you reckon about Nick Pope, Dad? Anything else you got to say about him?
Not really, it wasn't anything interesting.
Yeah.
That he had to add to any conversation.
No.
Nothing new, I mean.
Yeah. Funny of Nick Pope, he has been accused of stolen valour. He isn't the Fox Mulder he claimed to be. Now, I don't know if that's true specifically.
Well, a lot of people have said he was just a filing clerk.
He was an admin assistant or something in the MOD. He answered the phone and made cups of coffee and swept the floor and things like that. Yeah. Now, I don't personally know if that's true or not. I mean, it seems unlikely. I mean, it's possible he made this up. Now, people are saying, well, he made it up just to build a career for himself as a sort of the Mr. Go-To UFO guy in the media. I suspect... How do I say this? If there are discrepancies with Nick Pope's background, it's probably not because he's just a Walter Mitty. It's more likely that it's his position in the MOD was some kind of cover, and that Nick's real job actually was with another organisation, not the MOD, but it's another organisation that begins with the letter M, should we put it that way. Now, Paul Sinclair, interesting chap. Now, he's written a book called Night People. I've shown you before in previous souvenirs because I've got a copy. He goes back to his childhood in the 60s. He used to wake up and there would be these grey alien type creatures around his bed. Excuse me. And this went on through his life. He lived in Mexborough, which I believe is somewhere it's in Yorkshire somewhere, and he said he had an abusive father. And I know what psychologists are going to make of this. They're going to say, well, this is Paul's fantasy, his escape fantasy. They said these things about Simon Parkes. There's some strange key points. I mean, there's some strange key points to this, though, that means I don't believe the skeptics, which is that at no point actually was Paul taken to a spaceship. He doesn't report being taken to a spaceship. He just recalls these things being around him. I also would refer you to Andrew Hodrian and he did a PhD thesis. He's a psychology researcher. He did a PhD thesis on alien abduction and its differences to sleep paralysis, because the standard skeptic line that Professor Chris French's of this world go, oh, it's sleep paralysis, there's not enough evidence of alien abduction. Well, I'm taking a piss, but I quite like Chris French, actually. I think he's alright. But Andrew Hodrian actually says otherwise. He appeared at the first UFO Truth Magazine conference. If his name sounds familiar, it's because he is the brother of our Dave, who was there actually. I saw him selling his board game, his new card game called UFO Wave. He was selling his, excuse me, he's selling his new card game now on store. I think I showed it to you, didn't I? It's also a sign that Dave has green memories. He was walking along one day, and he looked down and he saw two animals, a guinea pig and a rabbit, sitting by the side of this pathway. And of course, being a little boy, he wanted to take them home because, you know, he wanted to have them as pets. A rabbit and a guinea pig, they're lovely, cute creatures. But he looked in the distance and he suddenly saw there were aliens there. And it's to me, that sounds like screen memories. What abductees often consciously remember when they have missing time and missing memory. They sometimes see encounters with certain animals. Now, the most common is the owl, but there are others. In the case of Mike Gorham, it was a tiger. Many others. Did you see Paul Sinclair's speech, Taj?
No, I didn't.
All right, I did all this. Now, Billy Carson, a director of Forbidden Knowledge TV, he's a really cool guy, actually. He's very well dressed, very smart. Obviously, you know, got all these new ideas about human origins and things like that he puts into his work, into his TV network, Forbidden Knowledge TV, which is so, honestly, man, if you're paying for Sky, why? You could subscribe to Gaia, you could subscribe to Iconic, and you could subscribe to Forbidden Knowledge TV, and you get much better programs than that shite you get in the mainstream media. He's a really good, very. I'll tell you more about his film later on, his documentary. Let's talk about the Emerald Tablets and things like that. He's also setting up something called Unite 99, which is a social media platform, and he brings up cargo cults. And what he believes is he brought some. It's a very intriguing concept, actually. Is humans are essentially experiencing a cargo cult. Now, cargo cults are very interesting. What happened was it dates back to World War II when there was the navies and air forces of the world were moving into the Pacific Ocean to fight each other, and as a result they landed on some islands that have never been landed on before, and they found a human population there, Polynesians and people like that living there, and these people had no contact at all with the outside world. They literally believed they were living on these little islands in the middle of an infinite cosmic ocean, in the same way that we humans have been led to believe we live in this tiny little ball of life in an infinite cosmic desert. And suddenly these pale-skinned, weird-looking people suddenly land with technology which, as Arthur C. Clarke said, would be indistinguishable from magic. So when these people set up runways on the beaches and aeroplanes landed, this would have looked to these people like some kind of divine magical power. And as a result, they literally built a religion out of these individuals. They believed they were basically gods, and they built model aeroplanes. And when these people left, anthropologists returned to the islands years later, and they found that they built model aeroplanes out of wood, life-sized model aeroplanes from wood, control towers, dish antennas and things like that. And they were waiting for the return of these demigods from heaven. And aren't we very similar to that? We believe we live on this tiny little planet, or we're told we live on this tiny little planet, and there's no one around, no one to be seen anywhere. And we see these things in our sky, and we go. Some people, like the Aetherius Society and the Raelians and the Heaven's Gate cult, they do turn them into deities. Some of these organisations, I must say, are more malevolent than others. As I said, the Aetherius Society is pretty harmless; the others less so. But even those who don't, we tend to project onto them our own ideas. It's interesting, that, isn't it? So it's clever, Billy. Billy. One thing I must say about Billy, he's a black guy, but never once did I hear him even refer to that. He certainly doesn't do the conventional thing that we're all meant to do, is either hate ourselves and hate others. If you're a white person like me, you're meant to hate yourself. If you're non-white, you're meant to hate white people. I don't know which is worse, actually, hating yourself or hating other people. You know, but not once did Billy say, "Oh, but I'm an oppressed black man, evil white people." He never once even mentioned that he was a black guy. It's him. I think he's just irrelevant. Yeah. What do you think of Billy Carson and Tats? Did you see his talk?
Yeah, I know Billy Carson. I've seen a lot of his stuff.
Did you meet him at the hotel?
No, he was staying at a different hotel, I think.
Oh, right.
But yeah, I've met him before, yeah. I mean, Sarah's interviewed him.
Oh, right.
And his wife. His wife. His wife.
Yeah, Elizabeth.
Elizabeth, yeah.
Interesting chap, isn't he?
Yeah, he's an interesting chap. He gets things done, that's for sure.
Yeah, he really. He's a good level-headed guy. Got his feet on the ground, but he's got his eyes on the up to the stars. So good for him. Yeah. Did you see Graham Rendell's talk, by any chance?
Which one was Graham Rendell's?
Oh, right. He was in Hangar 3 to talk about Nazi UFOs.
I don't think I watched anything in Hangar 3.
Oh, right. Well, you didn't ask. It's just. The thing is, Hangar 3 is actually not really good enough. It's one of the criticisms I would make of the conference, although it may be one that's unavoidable. Because of the architecture of the venue, but Hangar 3, as you can see, it's just really a collection of seats around stage in the corner of the vending area. Graham Rendell, I mean, he could have easily. I think there were so many people standing around watching him. He could have probably packed at Hangar 2. I mean, they assigned the speakers to the various hangars depending on how many people they were, how much audience they were likely to attract. This is why some of the ones, the less well-known ones, were in Hangar 2 and 3, whereas the big names, the rock stars, were in Hangar 1. But you mentioned Foo Fighters. Foo Fighters, of course, is not the new wave rock band, which they are as well. But before that, they were. It was an old word for UFOs, which was seen from seen from the early days of World War II, and. They were seen by all kinds of bomber crews. We know that that all the Allied bomber crews were seen. We don't know about the Axis because the Axis powers were destroyed, devastated so badly at the end of the war. It's possible that the personnel weren't even alive. But yeah, he was attracting a lot of attention. There was standing audience all around, and the US Air Force saw a massive object in 1943. There was an airliner sighting, New Zealand, South Africa. All kinds of different people were describing. What they were describing was objects that's both lights and various shaped objects, discs, triangles, rectangular objects that exhibited what Lou Elizondo calls the 5 observables. And the skeptics have tried to explain them as the various weapons, unusual weapons such as V-102 rockets, decoy flak missiles, rocket-propelled surface-to-air missiles, the Comet, which is a rocket-propelled fighter jet, and things like that. And it doesn't fit at all with the evidence. Skeptics are still trying to claim that Foo Fighters are just those things. Funnily enough, though, Graham takes a very sceptical attitude to things such as the Haunabu, the Bell, the Glocker, and the Italian sighting, the crash retrieved in 1933. As you know, I think otherwise. I don't have all the information to hand to explain. It's worth watching. He recommended actually Nick Cook's Hunt for Zero Point and the documentaries he made based on that. But really, I think the best source of information is Miles Johnston's own interviews with Igor Witkowski, where he goes into much more details about it. Right, Daryl Sims, the alien hunter, ex-CIA agent with a big cowboy hat on. Yeah. Interesting chap, actually. He knows all about the different types of aliens. In fact, he was the one who appeared in Richard D. Hall's Gateshead Grey, because this old man who saw aliens when he was a little boy, and Daryl helped him identify them. Now the implants, of course, are objects that appear in people's arms. Or I've got one in my arm, or they are hands, feet. Usually it's the hands and feet, have all parts of the face. Sometimes they're in other parts of the body, including inside the brain or the eyeballs. How they get there, no one knows. But he experienced his own contact as a child. definitely. Really strange. Very unusual experience he had too. And since then, he's been searching for physical evidence of the aliens. Did you see his talk? What did you think
I
of
saw
him?
his one. He's quite a colourful character, and he's typical cowboy. Bounty hunter. The alien bounty hunter.
Oh, the hats, yes. He has his alien hat on, or he has his policeman's hat on. He has his, the Native American Indian hat on.
Yeah.
All the other things he wears. He has
like 7 hats that he wears, and every time he does an investigation, he changes hats. And sees it from 7 different points of view.
Yeah, figuratively, of course. He always just wears the same black Stetson, but it's Now, how about Susan Shumsky? Did you see her talk? She was in Hangar 3.
No.
Oh, well, it's not. I mean, she basically gave some exercises to do, which are rather unusual. There's a lot of audience participation in her work. She wanted to help us open our third eye. This is the chakra in the middle of your head. And to do that, we have to do a number of exercises she called the brain gym. And one of them was to bend over with our hands on our knees. I remember. I may have demonstrated this to you before, I can't remember. And puff and pant very hard, blow it out. And we had to do this, without actually breathing in, we had to stretch our diaphragms as if we were breathing in. And at the same time, you've got to clench your bottom. I'm not kidding. If you do that enough, you will eventually awaken your third eye. So I'll let you know if that happens. All right. Did you see Billy Carlton's film?
No.
Oh right. It'll be fully available soon. Yeah. But it's called The Black Knight Awakens or something like that, and it's the European premiere. And he mentions the fact that there is this strange object that seems to be in the vicinity of the Earth. Sometimes people say it's orbiting. Excuse me. It seems to be in the vicinity of the Earth's low Earth orbit. It's been seen by several spacecraft. And funnily enough, the guy who first reported on this, it was Nikola Tesla who first reported that he was receiving transmissions from something. But the Black Knight actually dates back to Duncan Lunan. This is the guy I interviewed, Duncan Lunan, a Scottish researcher, who actually received coded messages from something in orbit, which he decoded. Funnily enough, there's been some reports, for example, do you know the STS-49 mission? I think it's STS-49, where you hear the Space Shuttle commander, whose name I can't remember, but I knew who it was, saying, "Houston, this is Discovery. We have the alien spacecraft under observance." Are you familiar with that?
Is that the one where they actually see the Black Knight satellite?
It could be that, or it could be another.
Was it something else?
Yeah, it could be the Black Knight, or it could be another alien spacecraft.
Yeah, some rubbish debris.
Well, there's several photographs of Black Knight which were taken from the ISS or from the space shuttles or by the Russians, which they claim is just debris. But Billy explains in the film why that's not the case. The film has interviews with Steve Mayer, Richard Dolan, a couple of other people, and Elizabeth Hoekstra, his wife. The thing about it is the actual pilot, the space shuttle pilot, the commander who made that report, "Houston, this is Discovery, we have the space shuttle. It's the space shuttle Discovery, we have the alien spacecraft under observance." That was picked up by an amateur radio person, and some people accused them of making it up, even though the voice is recognisable as that individual whose name I can't quite remember. Now the thing about it is, on the space shuttle I have 2 radio channels with Houston Mission Control. One of them is the public channel. There's an American-style school bus there. You don't see many of them. One of them is like the official channel, which is streamed online. You can listen to it. It's the public channel. Another is what's called the medical channel, which is encrypted. And it's called the medical channel because it's allegedly used only to allow the crew to discuss private medical conditions with Houston, with the mission controllers. But it's probably used for other things as well, including classified information. And one of my guesses, the commander forgot that he was not on the medical channel for a moment and accidentally let slip on the main channel. You can imagine mission control even calling, "Switch to the medical channel, for goodness sake, shut up, shut up, you're on the wrong channel, everyone just heard that." He got, "Oh, sorry." All right, so that's worth seeing. If you get to see the Black Knight Rises, Black Knight just Uncovered or something like that. Can't even remember what the title of it was. It's worth doing. I didn't get to see. Sorry.
You can watch the Pepsi commercial for free.
Yeah. Subscribe to 4PK TV. So you get to watch. You get your free trial if you've got
7-day free trial.
Yeah, I'm tempted to do that. Actually, I did pick up the QR code for that. Now on Sunday we saw a tear in the sky. This is the a tear in the sky. Is the this video. I mean, this movie, this documentary. I've interviewed David Altman and David Mason, two people involved in it. As soon as the US Navy footage came out, I remember saying to myself, because I looked at it on the map where this had happened, and I realised it was actually not far from shore. It was not out in the middle of the ocean. So I thought to myself, is it possible for a private individual to go out and try and gather some of the evidence that the US Navy weren't releasing? And the answer is yes. And they did this, and this particular documentary is all about that. It is all about a skywatch, basically, about a very highly organised skywatch in the area where this exercise took place in 2004 with the USS Nimitz. Very interesting indeed. Now, Maria Wheatley came on. Now, as always, because there's like 3 auditoriums and 3 hangars, you can't watch everything. You cannot, because there's talks running concurrently, so you have to make some tough decisions sometimes about what you're going to watch. I watched Maria Wheatley. I watched the first half of Maria Wheatley's lecture where she talks about ley lines and how they're related to royalty. The word reg or reg is a part of that. Earth energy is used by the elite. Stones being levitated. The twisted tree at Wayland's Smithy, which is geospirals, vortexes. The baptism of the third eye. The harmony of the spheres, and all these kinds of things, and how composers like Bach actually use these things. Unfortunately, I had to leave half. I didn't have to. So, but no offence, Maria. I actually left Maria's talk to go and watch Mary Rodwell. So, and Mary Rodwell has written a new book, and you've seen it in my souvenirs. It's called A New Human, and she's been running a CERN, the Australia Close Encounters Network, for many years. She has been doing surveys of various people, hundreds of members of this group, and about how they've actually discovered that people's DNA are changing as well. There are people who actually write and speak in ET languages, and she says, because of course, as I explained in my interview, because you know I interviewed Mary, how do you know what's true or not? She says, trust the resonance to the truth. And I think that's true because, of course, as you know, I've spoken to people with lots of different opinions on this. As Lorraine Wilkins, of course, has an almost diametrically opposed opinion to Mary. So how do you know what's real and what's not? That's the thing. What do you reckon of Mary Rodwell, actually?
Yeah, I know a bit about Mary. I've interviewed her. She talks a lot about the Star Children. I mean, that's basically what her book is about, really. It's about this wave of children coming to Earth to sort of wake up humanity in a way, I guess. But she's also interviewed all of these children as well. They all have, different experiences with aliens, contact, abductions, that type of thing. So yeah, it was very interesting.
Yeah, she's a really interesting lady, yeah, and it seems to be having a positive benefit. I mean, some of these people, she's been doing this so long now that the people she started working with are now in middle age, and they're very, they are people who have benefited and are distinct kinds of people. I mean, L.S. Taylor I know very well, and there's others as well, people like that. Now there was the star of the second half, really, of Sunday was, I think, James Fox. He won this Global Citizen Award in a ceremony which was actually very, very well put together. I don't think there was a dry eye in the house. It was like he won this Global Citizen Award, and they had this lovely video of him and his family and other people give messages. He was crying his eyes out. He was so moved. But are you familiar with James Fox and his productions?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a very, very good filmmaker.
Yeah, I think we were talking about talking about it last night at the hotel. He was there. Yeah, he was completely shocked, surprised. He had no clue that he was going to get this award. I think when they started doing the music or the intro or whatever, they started. The guy, who was the guy who presented it? I can't remember.
Oh, this was someone called Peter somebody. He directed the film Rob Roy, which is a very good film.
Yeah. He started talking about this person, and James thought, sounds like me. He starts talking about different projects he's worked on, because it still sounds like me. And then it was only when he put the video on, his picture came up on the screen, that he realised the award was for him.
Yeah. He's very modest, actually, James. He's like a quite down-to-earth chap. I mean, people who know him have told me that anyway. But yeah, he was very. But of course, he has made some amazing ufology documentaries, and he's making new ones now. Steve Mera told us, he can't tell me which ones they are, but they do exist. So yeah, I think it's well deserved. It was a really moving moment. It was very touching. Everyone was sort of behind him, and they were cheering him on. It was a lovely moment. It was a very likeable moment. A very likeable chap. I think he came across. I didn't get to speak to him, but he seems that way. And so he was. But then the thing started to wind down a bit. Hangar 2 and 3 shut, and there was. He did an interview with Jimmy Church, which I missed some of because I had to go out and get some food. But he did this interview with Jimmy Church, and then finally there was a final panel discussion, and then that was the end of it. The final panel was just basically kind of a review of everything that had been discussed over the last couple of days. Yeah, but really good speakers. Obviously Nick Pope I've got problems with, but the others, fantastic. Well, I'm home. I've had a wonderful weekend, and it's been absolutely brilliant. I can't wait to go next year. This ends my touring season for this particular summer, and so now I've got to go back to work, earn some money for the next touring season, which I'm not sure when that will be. But anyway, I want to say a big thank you to everyone who made this happen, to Taj for his transport and for his companionship, for Sandra Shufflebottom for her friendship and giving me a place to stay, and to all the delegates, speakers and organisers of the Awakenings UFO Consciousness Expo. And thank you, of course, HPANWO TV viewers for watching. Hospital Porters, pride and dignity, stop the New World Order.